Today, we are going to take an in-depth look at The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom and asking ourselves the big question, can this game recapture the magic of 2D top-down Zelda games?
We're going to find out today. It's about time that we do this kind of episode. We now know quite a bit.
I feel like we got the information all at once.
Right, but there are a few key questions that remain, a few key omissions, dungeons, that we haven't really heard much about. So we want to kind of take inventory of what do we know, what do we not know, what do we need to know before this game comes out.
Exactly, and I keep getting mixed up on the time because this game is coming out really soon.
Right.
And every time I look at the calendar, I'm like, oh my God, this game is coming out sooner than you think.
Yeah.
So it is a good time to take in and peel through all the things that Nintendo has announced so far and also get kind of hyped about this game because I'm honestly
We're both very
excited.
hyped.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's still a little bit of a ways to go. I think we both think they probably have one more big beat of a significant announcement.
Yeah.
Which may touch on some of these things that we have here, but we know they like to get a little big-brained with the way that they reveal information and deal with information for Zelda games. So maybe not. I mean, I cannot forget. Honestly, so we're making this list. I got a little bit of PTSD.
You did.
When I was like, hold on, have they been talking about dungeons like at all? And I went back and I double checked.
Not this again.
And I was like, oh, we just went through this with the last game.
We just went through this.
And it was kind of annoying, so I kind of don't, but we kind of have to.
Exactly.
Because it's a big, important question.
Yeah,
for this game that we don't know about.
Especially for this type of Zelda game. So yeah, we're going to dig into all of that. We should say that we have also been playing a ton of A Link to the Past in preparation for Echoes of Wisdom. It is our next spoiler cast game.
Yes.
And we put out a video talking about what is the definitive way to play this game. This game is an all-time classic. And actually, it's really nice because this game is pretty accessible. Out of all of the sort of retro games that have this caliber of like prestige, it's kind of nice that you do have all these different options to play on like a modern system. Yeah. And so you have been playing the SNES version on NSO. I have been playing the GBA version on NSO. And we were like, maybe we should do a video like comparing the two because there are some notable differences, like good and bad for both of them that we wanted to like dig into a little bit. And if you guys are maybe thinking about doing a playthrough before Echoes of Wisdom comes out, this might be helpful.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people who probably also never played this game at all.
That's true,
and are using this opportunity to get ready for Echoes of Wisdom by playing this game. So it's good to just like kind of start from the ground level and really break down what the differences are. And yeah, there's two different versions that are on NSO. Like I will give Nintendo credit for that. Like that kind of like inner circle of like the mega big, everybody knows and loves these retro games. Like those are always the first ones that they put out. Yeah. And it is nice that we got that GBA version fairly recently so people can make that choice.
Right.
But yeah, it's an interesting thing to do. And yeah, we've been playing that game. We'll talk about it lightly in the games we've been playing section.
But I'm excited about it.
You did that thing.
I did that
where
thing.
We'd been playing this game for like 2 days.
It was more than that.
You declared, I'm
almost done.
I'm blowing through this game. I think I've got to be at least like halfway through this game. I said, you're really not. You have to stop doing this.
You're so not. And then I looked again. I was like, oh.
You have to stop doing this to yourself. Why do you do this?
I don't know. I just feel like, I'm really making good progress.
Well, that's fine, but don't take the foot off the gas, and then you have to pull an all-nighter to beat these games before we do those spoiler casts.
I am doing good though because you and I have been keeping pretty good pace with each other.
We have been,
weirdly,
every day we'll check in and like, what'd you do last night? We're basically at the same place
spot. I think
in
you're
the game.
like a teeny tiny bit ahead of me.
I'm gonna say it now. We are getting close to finishing this game. We're getting close.
We are?
Yes.
Ooh, that's exciting.
We are making nice progress in this.
I have moments of like, I remember this game so clearly. I remember nothing at all. Like it's like very boomerang.
I definitely have a very distinct point in this game where it's like, oh yeah, I very rarely played past this point because it got too hard for me as a youngster.
Yeah, I remember my dad helped me a lot with this game because I was too stupid.
Huh.
When I was like 7, I mean, hello, no, there's no way. But there are definitely points where I'm like, oh yeah, and then definitely points where I'm like, I never saw this before in my life. I've never seen this. And it's like, wait, definitely,
it's been a while.
I've definitely seen this. But yes, it's very fun. Check out that video if you're trying to decide on which version to play. I am super curious though to know like who here has never played this game? Who here has only played one or the other version? And like who here has played like all of the versions and is replaying? Like tell me in the comments because I just need to know who you are. Because I think that is a very wide range of probably what people are going through right now, like different play experiences and levels. Because this game is really old.
Well, that's why I'm saying I think a lot of people had never played it before. This game came out in what, 91, 92?
Yeah.
About?
We were mere children.
It's a long time ago. It's like 30-something years ago.
We were mere children.
That's a long time. So I don't, like, some people get like a little like nervous of admitting like, oh, I haven't played this huge game or, this.
I feel like that sometimes.
This game, they're like, oh, if you're into games, you have to have played this game. It's like, look, there's a lot of games these days. Nobody can play it all.
That's true. Yeah, people do get a little uppity about that sometimes, and it makes me nervous too. It's like, oh, you haven't played
You're
this
gonna
game?
Get called out.
You're fake. That's not true.
We know that to be true.
That's not true.
For other reasons, maybe.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Another exciting thing that we are going to be up to towards the end of the month is we are going to be headed to Seattle for PAX West. Our annual pilgrimage to PAX West is happening again this year, which is very exciting. We're going to be doing another really fun panel, sharing a great Nintendo story time, hanging out with you guys, hopefully, if you're going to PAX. Hopefully we'll see you there. This is my favorite event, I think, of the year because it does feel like a very high concentration of people that we know, people that we see every year. We meet tons of our wonderful Patreon family members every year at PAX. It's a great time.
Yes.
It's just wonderful.
The panel is Friday, August 30th from 1 to 2 p.m. Pacific.
Yes.
They do typically stream these, but it's all on the PAX channels, so you can look at their site if you need to know exactly where that is.
And we'll be filming it and all that stuff too.
Yeah, we'll always have we'll put it in the following week's podcast.
Yeah.
So you can't miss it. It is, it's your favorite event of the year. It's also the annual moment where you get really nervous and stressed out about nobody's coming to this panel. But now you've declared that you're over that. I don't know why, because I really don't think you are.
I don't think I am either, actually. I was over it. Copium? I was over it like a month ago, but now I'm under
he's back.
I'm under it again.
Yeah, it was far enough off. It was like, I don't need to worry about that. But now you do. Now you really do.
I have to worry about it now. I do have to worry about it.
Okay, so come on out and save Krysta a panic attack.
Please.
Why don't you? Yes,
please.
Good. Okay, let's get into our big look at The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. But first, we have a great new sponsor.
Oh, wow.
To shout out, this episode is sponsored by Hims.
Thank you.
I want to have a word with all the fellas out there.
Oh.
When we leave the house, it's phone, wallet, keys, how's my hair look? But if you're experiencing hair loss, you may not be so confident when you step outside your door. It is time to get the confidence back and restore your hair with Hims.
Hair is very important.
Yes. Nobody wants to lose their hair, but for men, it is kind of one of those things where, like, as you get older, many men are going to experience that. Like, I've seen the number myself. It's like once you hit a certain age, it's like some extremely large percentage of men have started to lose their hair one way or another. So it is really great that we now have all these great treatments that you can get through Hims, and you can start seeing hair coming back within 3 to 6 months, which is really fast.
That's super fast, I love that.
Yes, so there's a lot of different ways that you can do it. There's chewable oral spray, serum treatments, so you can find the one that works best for you. You do it all online. You just answer a couple of questions, and a medical provider will determine what the right treatment is for you, and you can pick which one that you want to go with, and then it gets sent directly to your door. And they have hundreds of thousands of people who have achieved success using all these treatments. So, if this is something that you're experiencing or something you're concerned about, it's treatable, and there's so many great solutions out there.
Worth a try, honestly,
Totally.
Right? I mean, these are doctor-trusted treatment options. They're clinically proven ingredients. So, like, the solutions are out there, and it's nice that Hims makes it super easy for you to, like, try out a solution. That might work for you.
Do it and get your confidence back. So start your free online visit today at hims.com/KitandKrysta. That's HIMS.com/KitandKrysta for your personalized hair loss treatment options. hims.com/KittenKrysta, and I have a great disclaimer to read as well.
Verbatim.
Results vary based on studies of topical and oral minoxidil. Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information.
Wow. We'll put the link here and in the description below. Give it a look.
Is that the first time I'm going to take the fellas aside? Have a word with the fellas? Like,
Little
go step outside, Krysta.
man huddle. Little man huddle. I'm here for it. I want all of you to be confident with your beautiful hair.
That's
okay?
right. Yes. All right, Zelda. So last week they put out the big, what's it called, the Traversing Hyrule trailer.
Basically an overview trailer.
And we did. Now, you referred to it like that. I'm not sure it is. I think we still may get the overview trailer.
I mean, they kind of went into more detail than just like
but it was long.
around Hyrule.
It was like 6 minutes long, and it had quite a bit in it.
Yeah.
And we did a whole video separately breaking down all of that in great detail.
Yeah,
so we don't really want to like belabor that and talk about that again.
That video's there for you if you want to watch it.
I think I think people are familiar with that. But what we do want to do is there's been more information that came out afterwards. Like the Japanese website got updated. There's just stuff happening with this game and stuff coming out. So we do want to review all of that. And then we want to get into this list of kind of hot topics. Questions, concerns, lingering things that are in the back of our mind that we want to see how we're both feeling about before this game comes out.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it's been a long time since we've had a top-down 2D Zelda game. So I feel like it's one of those, once again, we're at this like moment where it kind of makes and breaks this type of Zelda game, this kind of genre. So it is kind of important to like take inventory of what's happening and also think about these big questions, because I think it will affect sort of the future of this series. And especially, if we were talking a lot about how we really need to have these two types of Zelda games, the open world, Breath of the Wild type, but also this kind of 2D top-down type of Zelda game to keep the franchise actually going. So it is going to be important to look at some of those bigger topics and think about, like, can this work in 2024?
Yes.
So, yeah.
Okay, so let's get into some of the stuff that came out after the trailer dropped. A big thing was on the Japanese side, only on the Japanese side.
The Japanese side is like really nice.
Not on the English, NOA site.
Why not?
I'm not sure has properly launched. They always do this thing where they have the landing page.
Yeah, and then
it's
they
like
have
click
the
through to the micro site.
But why not just have the anyways?
I gotta say, this Japanese website is like an amazing website.
That's what I was saying too. Yeah. We were both looking at it. We're like, usually, okay, no offense to
we've been booking travel for Japanese hotels. It's like, oh my god, these websites are driving me insane.
They're horrible. They must be running on a fax machine because they suck. But this one is beautiful.
This website's beautiful.
Clearly running not on a fax machine.
And they have revealed 5 new characters for the game. We have names and we have artwork for all of them.
Cute.
So we have the King of Hyrule with a big fluffy beard.
Very on brand.
Stately, yes.
Yeah, on brand with the look.
We have Minister Sadari, who is an agent of the Hyrule government. Seems to be toting some sort of leather-bound folio or a book.
Got the glasses, very studious.
We also have General Ugi, who is a representative of the Hyrule military.
Looking pretty tough.
Looking tough.
Yes.
We have Impa.
This is the best part.
What do you think of this version of Impa?
I love it.
I
love an old Impa. I feel like this is what I'm going to look like when I'm like 75.
When you start shrinking.
My grandma.
When you start small and then you start shrinking.
Legit, my grandma looks like Impa. I'm gonna insert a photo of my grandmother because
is your grandmother okay with this? She's probably like, leave me out of your nonsense.
No, she looks like Impa. It's so cute, and I feel like I'm gonna look like her, and that makes me excited.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, rocking the big earrings.
Yeah. I'm gonna be this.
Great. And then we also have Ruberry, and people have been suggesting that the name might get tweaked when we learn about Ruberry in English. Ruberry is Impa's older brother who is researching rifts.
Yes.
And we had a little conversation of like, wait, there was Robbie in Tears of the Kingdom, who also had a very kind of sciencey
he had the same sort of
thing
like
going on.
Swirly glasses.
This I said this reminded me of Professor Egad.
I said it reminded
And
me
you
of Professor
said
Frankly from
Egad
Thousand Year
is
Door.
leagues better than Professor Frankly.
They're all
I'm
great.
sorry.
Any kind of old dude with like a googly glasses and like crazy hair, 10 out of 10 in my book. Like straight up 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
You know? Great. I love that Impa has an older brother.
Yeah.
Can we discuss that? Like we've never heard peep about sort of Impa's family or like her, you know, her relations with other characters. This is kind of cool to even know that she has a brother.
Yeah, this is nice. You know, I think people see the 2D top-down Zeldas as being a more streamlined experience, like get down to action, and there's maybe less time or less effort put into ancillary characters or
Yeah.
you know, the conversations that you're having with them, the relationships you're building with them. But this maybe suggests otherwise a little
Yeah,
bit.
a little bit.
I don't expect it to be exactly like Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, but this
Yeah.
is nice.
Yeah, it does. It does seem like even in that overview or whatever, the Traversing Hyrule trailer that we saw, there was some like side questing, going to different places and talking to people
Yeah.
kind of stuff going on, which leads me to believe that there is a bit of relationship building. And it's
Yeah.
nice to get a little cast of characters here.
Right. It's been confirmed that the game does have amiibo support. This is
Oh,
also
very cool.
on the Japanese site.
Yes, right here.
It says touch the corresponding character amiibo. In addition to items that will be useful for your adventure, you may also be able to get different colors of clothing that can be obtained in the game.
Okay.
So
There is that, you know, outfit change thing that Zelda
I think
can
that's
do.
cool.
Yeah.
I think you know, we still don't have an answer to the question of will there be dedicated amiibo made of these characters for this game.
But it sounds like at least amiibos will work. And there's lots of Zelda amiibo already
Yes.
that you probably can scan and get some goodies, which is very similar to, you know, what you can do in Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild. But I'm still holding out hope for a dedicated amiibo. I think this is like a...
Just doing some math and it feels like it might be too late for them to announce something like that. I don't know.
Why? Why can't that be announced in the next update as like a fun surprise?
I don't know.
Maybe there's a bundle that they're announcing.
I don't think there is.
Why? Don't dash my...
I don't know. It feels like something they would want to get people ready for now, get people excited for now. We announced the game, we announced the hardware. There's that dedicated Switch Lite that looks great. I don't know. I just kind of have a feeling, and that'd be a total bummer because this would be perfect.
But tiny Zelda on a tiny horse.
I would definitely buy
I really need them to do that.
3 to 4 amiibo gladly based
Give me
on
the
this
old
game.
Impa amiibo.
Yeah.
Give me the tiny Zelda tiny horse.
Right.
Okay, well let's see what
Gosh.
happens. I
Okay.
guess it's kind of a bummer if they don't.
But
have
at
any
least we know
dedicated
that much. And yeah, it is interesting that these kind of details are kind of just like slipping through on the website. That is always the case where like the teams will make, you know, a dedicated rollout plan and they'll try and capture as much as they can. But sometimes there's things that just don't, odds and ends that don't totally fit.
Yeah.
And, you know, people, you know, that work on things like the website are glad to swallow that up and get that up there because it's cool.
And usually
content
time it to something other reveal going out, which is why the website gets updated when that trailer went out. So that's usually how Nintendo handles this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, there tends to be some little bits and pieces that just kind of end up on the website.
Right. Nintendo Life did a good job of kind of going beyond that first layer of information in that trailer and, you know, picking out kind of half dozen or so other little details that are worth calling out. Again, none of these are like earth-shattering things, but they are cool and interesting. Cats, dogs, and cuckoos.
Great.
Got that? Don't call it a chicken.
It's not a chicken.
One of our friends at Nintendo had a snafu where they referred to a cuckoo
as a chicken
in a social media post,
and then
was quickly chastised. Quickly.
By you?
No.
Delete the post?
I don't think I even knew that post had gone up.
Delete the post and start over?
But it was one of those things where they came to me afterwards. Like, this thing happened. I made a mistake. I got yelled at.
It's a very,
very... on with your day, please. Life goes on. Thank you.
The little doggy that they showed in the trailer was really cute. It was like a scruffy little dog. We don't know
yet. Can you
yet.
pet all of these
I was going to say, can you pet, maybe not the cuckoo, but the cat and the dog, though. Maybe you can pet those things.
I do like that the pet you can pet the dog account exists.
Yeah.
I don't know that I like. It seems like some games are kind of pandering to that.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, here's our reveal. We're tagging this. Hey, you want to get this now, don't you? Don't you?
Yeah, it is like your whole point about like when you weaponize coziness.
Yes.
This is a method of weaponizing
Don't
coziness.
weaponize pets.
You're weaponizing
Jeez.
the puppy.
These are the last things.
it.
These are the last things we have. Okay.
The dogs
leave
do not
leave
want
this
you
sacred.
to
Yes.
weaponize it.
This was cool. The posters of Zelda that you can see around.
I love this.
Now, are you in the camp that these are wanted posters or missing posters?
Well, it's a poster of Zelda, so it's got to be a wanted
But
poster.
which one is it?
I think it's
Why isn't it
wanted.
missing? Like on a jug of milk. Princess Zelda's
because
face shows up on a gallon of milk.
She's like disguised in her little hoodie.
Yeah, it's like, oh my gosh, Princess Zelda's vanished. Where could she be? We need to find
and
her.
she's off like
you hadn't
in
even
disguise.
you hadn't even considered this.
I
Why
did
would she be
not.
wanted? Is she a fugitive?
Well, I've been playing A Link to the Past, and you know how Link has those wanted posters
Yeah.
because they think that he's kidnapped and disappeared the
Right.
princess. So I was wondering if that's
I mean,
definitely
Princess Zelda is not Link. She's untouchable. She's
definitely
royalty.
a cool callback to that, though. No, yeah, I guess it could be missing. You're right. Maybe it is.
I think it's a missing poster.
And she's just like you know, she's like Princess Jasmine when she like leaves the palace to go into the marketplace. She's like in disguise, but her disguise is like just putting a hood over her hair, which is exactly what Zelda's doing. It's like obviously we can still see your face, but anyways. But yeah, I guess it could be that she's missing.
Maybe they could have gotten a better police sketch artist to do the drawing of Zelda.
Maybe she should have worn like a better disguise
Yeah.
if she was actually trying to incognito
Oh, okay.
get a little glasses
Well, you
and
really flip-flopped me on that. You
mustache.
You jiu-jitsu'd me on that.
kind of situation.
Oh, yeah, there
Don't
you go.
think?
Good.
That'd be cute.
We talked about this. The Quest UI is so similar to Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom.
It's almost exactly the same.
Unexplored areas of the map will have these sorts of outlines so that you can get a sense of at least like what the topography is.
Yeah.
We have also seen a number of people pointing out like Zeltic had it in the video comparing like doing like a legit like one over the other translation of the Link to the Past map
and this map.
because you do get a glimpse when they were talking about waypoints, and they did point out that kind of where the southernmost cutoff of the Link to the Past map is now, it goes
more south.
a bit deeper south, and I don't think we could tell necessarily in every other direction.
If that's
but
the
it
case.
is clear that the map has expanded, and they did point out like, look. Here's this temple in the swamp. There it is exactly.
Yeah.
So we know exactly kind of one-to-one where these things are.
That map is pretty. I mean, it's pretty much confirmed that Echoes of Kingdoms map is definitely based on a Link to the Past map. It might be expanding it, and they obviously have like changed the names of some of the places that we talked about that a little bit, moved some things around, but generally you are kind of experiencing a similar map to that game, but. Sounds like they're adding some expanded areas as well, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that is great. Other things that were pointed out, catching butterflies, don't know what that could be about. Clothing appears to be cosmetic. Well, now, I thought they pointed out that once you got these different items, that was represented in the clothing. So
I thought so too.
I'm not sure I necessarily understand that point.
Yeah.
And then finally, Zelda's companion Tri seems to be upgradable.
Oh.
Adding to the number of times you can manipulate objects and enemies.
Well, that's kind of interesting.
That's interesting and cool.
Yeah.
We don't know too much about Tri yet.
We don't know how annoying Tri
So maybe that could be another thing.
On a scale of 1 to Navi, how annoying is Tri?
You just raised a new concern.
Add it to the list.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
But we could love Tri. Tri could be Fi. And we love Fi.
I'm not sure everybody does.
Oh, I love Tri.
I don't think everybody loves Fi.
Okay, see, then there you go. Everyone has their
quite
own...
a few people that definitely do not love Fi.
Everybody has their own, like, you know, threshold of what they can stand when it comes to these, like, helper characters. At least Tri does have a function.
Yeah.
So that's good. Like, you're using Tri to do stuff. Versus it just being like a little jibber jabber in your ear.
I smell a new tier list coming. Most annoying Zelda companions. We have a new one. We must rank.
If you guys want us to do that one, let us know. I kind of want to now. It sounds good. It sounds fun.
Great Twitter account, Silent Princess. Definitely follow them. Pointing out that musical instruments are back.
Oh, yeah.
We have this kind of different we have different depictions of Zoras playing
harps
musical
and-
instruments. The musical instruments from Tears of the Kingdom, that was like your favorite. That's one of your favorite things in that whole game.
Oh my gosh, yes. I still think about that and listen to that Stable Trotters thing a lot. I think about that side quest.
Do you think that's what's
all the
happening in this
time.
first screenshot here? Where it's like, we need to get the band back together. Now you've got the harp. Now you've got
my
this guy
God.
singing, and now this other guy needs to go get the whatever.
Expectations rising.
We're just playing the hits from Tears of the Kingdom. Is that what this is?
I wouldn't be mad about that, honestly. Can they expand?
Oh, but this is the same guy. He's playing like the tuba. This is the same one.
This is this guy. Wow. But I thought that these people don't get along.
Well, this is how they get over their beef, through music.
Oh, through music.
Yes.
Through the magic and power of music.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
I'm into it.
Our intrepid Patreon and superstar Simon pointed out some details on the game's key art, also from the Japanese website.
Yes.
And specifically highlighted this kind of parachuting character in the upper left.
Look at this little...
Who is this?
Look at this little
I really
freak.
want to know more about this. What?
I thought it was
Just called him a freak?
I was like, is this like somehow related to a tingle? And
I was going to say, this game could really use Tingle.
is this tingle?
No, this is like This is like
Tingle
origin story
Origin
Tingle.
story
No.
Tingle before he
No,
gets
no,
like
no,
the
no,
green
no.
outfit
No,
on,
no,
before
no,
he
no,
becomes
don't
even more of a
Don't
freak.
suggest such things.
I don't know what this
Not
thing
everybody's a freak. Jeez.
is. I don't know what this thing is. I'm not sure I like it.
I'm very into this, and I want to know more. And I want to know how did this get into this key art. But you do get a good look of kind of the lay of the land here, because you can see kind of the mountains in the upper right. You got the volcano in the upper left. You got the village.
You got a heart piece. I want to get that heart piece.
Yeah, I mean, it is maybe a little bit unusual as far as key arts go, where like usually the main character is a bit kind of bigger, I would say.
Yeah,
like,
this is more world focused.
Zelda is like really like kind of a tiny dot on all this, but I do love all the details.
Yeah.
And I do love kind of the shadowy image of Link and Ganon in the back too. That's
I
cool.
know, right? The rift, kind of like with the rift smoke around them, or whatever it is.
Now, some people have pointed out, do you think, because they both have that kind of rift aura about them.
Yeah.
Are you gonna fight Link in this
That's
game?
another thing that I was thinking about. Like, is he
Because
possessed?
we are not going to have that conversation again of like, how much is Link going to be?
We've already done that.
We've done that
to death.
plenty. But that's not an angle that I think we have considered. Will you be fighting Link?
Yeah.
Will he be some sort of a mini boss or second to last boss?
It's like sometimes you get that whole like shadow Link.
I like second to last boss.
Penultimate.
And then you free him.
And
then
he
there's
joins
some
you.
sort of a team up battle against Ganon.
Because you know when you join together at the end of Zelda games, and like Zelda's like always like shooting the magic bow, and Link has a sword,
Right.
Or maybe that's when you can like echo Link or something like that,
Right.
or bind Link or whatever,
Exactly.
to defeat Ganon.
Right.
Oh, that could be really fun.
As James Brown's "It's a Man's World" plays in the background. Kidding.
No, Madonna's "Material Girl" plays in the background.
I think that would be cool though, and I had not considered that.
Oh my god, I think that would be super cool. There's got to be they're not going to have a game with no Link at all.
Right.
It's just a question of like how to integrate him into this like adventure, right? Yeah, but I'm excited about the key art. Just gives me a sense of exploration again, which is something I always look forward to. Is like, what are we doing to interpret the world of Hyrule again in this game? It's going to look and feel so different than a 3D Zelda game. So it's just going to be fun to explore Hyrule from like quite literally that angle. And I think it'll be fun. I also noticed in the back that there's these like snow-capped mountains.
Yeah.
So I wonder if they're adding like a Hebra region to it as well, because that was not in the Link to the Past sort of area. They moved sort of Death Mountain, Elder Volcano to the left here. So we'll see what happens. Is there going to be a Rito village? I don't know.
Oh.
Could be. You don't like the Rito
I'd be
village.
fine to pass on that. I would be fine to pass on that. We do know of 2 pre-order bonuses. This is for the United States, of course. Maybe different if you are elsewhere.
Right.
I got to say, I'm not excited by either of these.
No, these are boring. But whatever.
At Best Buy, you can get this kind of, what is this?
It's like a diorama, I guess.
They called it a game stand, and I don't know in what sense this is a game stand. This looks like a little dinky diorama for me.
Yeah, it looks like a little diorama. It's like there's some figures in the
What were
foreground.
those things that we had? Shrinky dinks? Do you remember those?
Oh, I do remember
It's kind of like these. You like put them in the oven. You cut them out. You put them in the oven.
And then they like shrink down into like a little plastic doohickey.
It looks exactly like this.
And you can put them on like a bracelet or like a necklace or something.
So get your Best Buy Shrinky Dink, and then
it'd be so much better if it was an actual Shrinky Dink.
And at GameStop, you get the Zelda fabric poster. So if you want to towel off after sauna session with this Zelda towel. I guess you can. I don't know.
Sweating through these dungeons or something? Oh no, dear me.
Maybe this could be the pocket square that Mr. Onuma wears at the next Game Awards.
He doesn't have anyone to cut it for him.
Some frantic PR person can
Google that.
Can run to GameStop and pre-order the game 20 times to get some pocket squares for the team.
I learned a lot that year about how to fold a pocket square. I got to tell you. Thank God for YouTube. Jeez.
All right. Maybe a little bit more effort next time, guys.
No, I mean,
maybe a little bit more. If you're still in business, by the way, but maybe a little bit more.
You can have some GameStop stock as a pre-order bonus.
Made out of recycled Game Informer issues.
Too soon.
Okay.
Too soon.
Our list of questions and concerns. We have 7. Let's start. Is this a true 2D Zelda game? And kind of dovetailing into that, we'll do 2 for 1 here. Is 2D Zelda still relevant?
Yeah. Well, let's answer this question with another question, let's.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Oh, no.
You're in the hot seat. What constitutes a 2D Zelda game? What are the key components of a 2D Zelda game? Because this is how we got into trouble last time. When is this a dungeon? I don't know. And then we had to ask ourselves, what is a dungeon? What is a dungeon?
2D. That is top down 2D. I'm not doing the voice of top down. That is, to me, like, I'm not so worried about all of the individual components.
Okay.
I think, true 2D Zelda game, yes, dungeons have all of that. Well,
that's the question, isn't it?
Dungeons where you unlock items that give you access to different, there's kind of that whole Metroidvania aspect of it. Often we have like this mirrored overworld, second world. Could that be what's happening?
Well, there's rifts.
With these rifts, we don't know. So I think this is kind of in everybody's different interpretation, but these have been a bit few and far between.
Yes.
The last one we got was a remake of a classic 2D Zelda game. So I think that's an interesting thing to ask also, is like what, after all these years, after a bit of a long layoff, like what would be a true 2D Zelda game?
Yeah.
Because you can't just keep making a game from 30 years ago.
Right.
Great as those games were, like, it is good to have some progress and new ideas.
Right.
Yeah.
I think in terms of the way the game looks, from what we've seen, how the characters move, how you interact with the world, it feels truly like a 2D Zelda game. So that part is good. The way that you're like moving from screen to screen, that kind of, that sort of feeling of, the angle that you're looking at the world, the angle in which you're interacting with different characters, like just the general look and feel of it does feel like a 2D Zelda game. I think where there may be some question marks is like, what is this gameplay going to feel like? Is the gameplay going to feel like a traditional 2D Zelda game?
Yeah.
And that's where I'm like a little bit unsure, because the gameplay is actually really, really, really different than a 2D Zelda game. Like, you're not even fighting anything.
Yeah, well, that's the one thing that stands out as we're playing A Link to the Past, is like you're constantly fighting. There's every screen. There's
so much action.
Some handful of enemies that are in your way, and we'll talk about the combat a little bit later on. But I do see that as one of the things that is a little bit different for this game, and I don't think anybody would ever say like, oh yeah, this Zelda game, it's a fighting game. You're doing all sorts of cool moves with the 2D combat, but it was a big part of it.
It's an action game, though.
It was.
Yeah. And how much action are you going to have with the old
bed?
bed?
It's an adventure game. Adventure.
I don't like the categorizing.
We need only Jeff Keighley can tell us.
Exactly. What are you putting this game into when it wins Best Family Game?
This is going to be Best Family Game. Let's be honest. This is not winning any other awards.
It's so true. Calling it right. That either this one or Bro Ship is going to be best.
Yeah.
Anyways, but yeah, it's like how much action is going to be there versus it being like almost like a sort of like a 2D puzzle game now, right? I don't know. So that's the part that is kind kind of a big question mark for me. But just the look of it, though, and the way the characters look. I mean, obviously the characters are very much like the Link's Awakening remade character models, like that kind of like, chibi, toony looking style. And I think that works really well for a top-down 2D Zelda game. Like that style and that updated style from a traditional top-down 2D Zelda game, it works well, and it does feel like they have like kept the spirit of what those games should look and feel like, and like made it look really modern and really clean and really nice. So that part of it is really good. I'm glad they stuck to that style for this game. Yeah, I mean, this is a good bridge to the next question: is it still relevant? Like in this day and age, that this kind of gameplay, this kind of look, this kind of art style, does it actually still hold up? I think it does. I think people still want to have this type.
Is that because it's relevant to you?
Maybe. And because I grew up with these games, it could be a very biased, opinion. But I do feel like that there is room for different types of Zelda games that are not the Breath of the Wild style of Zelda games.
So if you got brought into the series with those last 2 games and you see this, what do you think those people's reaction would be?
I think that they'd be interested because they're going back to a world that they have some familiarity with. They're seeing, they're seeing characters obviously that they know. They're seeing even like the simple things like the UI looks very similar to Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. Like maybe there is enough similarities and familiarity to make you curious about it, even if you never grew up playing a 2D Zelda game, for you to be like interested. It might not be, what you're used to if the first experience playing a Zelda game is Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
But I still think the interest would be there. Because that game did a great job of introducing you to the Zelda universe.
I do think this game feels very much like a bridge from those last 2 games back to 2D Zelda, where it's like, yes, it's top down. We do have a lot of the things that you know and love from those games from 30 years ago, but there's also a lot of callbacks and details from these last 2 recent games.
Yeah.
And there's enough of this kind of improvisational gameplay.
Right.
Where if that was something that you really liked, that's here. It's in a different form. But there's enough of it where I think people could see that and say like, oh yeah, this has enough of those elements that I liked.
Right.
Maybe I haven't played a 2D Zelda game before, but I think I could get in on this. And it's like also like all the stuff that they've done of we've got Gorons, we've got all these
the characters.
The Gerudo.
So really
it's like yeah, they have kind of merged and mashed up, and it's, in a sense just kind of even the playing field of all of the Zelda franchise around a lot of this iconography, a lot of these characters that are now just like
locations.
We're getting our stories straight across the board now.
Yes.
Because that was something that stood out to us, playing Link to the Past. Is like they really had not figured a lot of this stuff out.
They were not figuring it out.
No.
They were very focused on gameplay and dungeon design.
They were still making all of that up.
Yeah,
right.
And they've continued to make it up, but I think right now does feel like they're like, okay, we really need to get our ducks in a row in terms of how we make these 2 separate interpretations of the same world and characters feel, to make sure that there is some connectivity between the 2, because that's what they want. They want to have the huge audience that were brought into the Zelda series through Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, to get into this kind of game, because this is absolutely needed for this franchise to be successful in the future. Right,
but I do think a lot of those details are very intentional, and again, like every game has a purpose and a goal and a reason for existing.
Right.
And beyond just like, let's make a cool game. Like I do think that's what that team and Mr. Aonuma, really wants to do with this is like let's bring these people who are into the phenomenon of these last 2 games, like let's ease them into the broader world of what else Zelda has to offer.
And then that gives them options to develop these games in, like we talk about this a lot, the teams that are doing these types of Zelda games are separate teams. So that gives them the runway to have like one team working on the 3D Zeldas that take a long time, that, you know, take a lot of resources, and you got another team making maybe a smaller, more compact 2D Zelda experience that can fill those gaps. There is no other way for this series to stay relevant unless these two paths exist. So I think it's really like an incentive for the development team to like bring these together in a way that makes sense.
Then what you basically have is Animal Crossing, where it takes so long to make these games, and like no matter how big your game is, you're basically starting from scratch,
you're starting
like
from
7 years later, you know.
Sometimes longer, yeah.
And it's just so hard to rebuild all of that from nothing. So yeah, we really need games like this. So it sounds like you are leaning yes
I'm
on
leaning
the
yes
first question.
On both questions.
Yes.
I mean, again, relevant to me, yes, because I grew up, my first Zelda experience was not Breath of the Wild. So I think, but I truly do think that the broader audience also will lean towards this being relevant because they are just so bought into the world of Zelda.
But this is not going to be like a dozens million sold type of game,
I don't think so.
Right?
I think it's like realistically, it is a smaller.
Yeah, I mean the Link's Awakening sales were good and they were within our expectations, but they were nowhere close.
They're not Breath of the Wild sales,
and nobody expected them.
And this is not going to be some like Game of the Year.
Don't say that yet.
I mean, okay, fine. I won't say that yet.
Don't say that yet. You don't know.
All right, it could be Game of the Year.
Yeah. Will Zelda's powers be easy to abuse like Link's powers in Tears of the Kingdom? This is kind of a consistent criticism of Tears of the Kingdom is, any puzzle that the game gave you, like you could just kind of brute force a solution in a lot of ways by just kind of mashing up some nonsense with Ultra Hand and just farting through this shrine.
Yeah, that's what I was a little concerned about that when I saw the last trailer with the two new abilities that they introduced, which is like that bind and whatever else that other one was called.
Bond.
Sure, bond. Bond and bind. What a weird, confusing way to call it. But anyways, yeah, because it does seem like it gave me some flashbacks to Tears of the Kingdom where like, oh goodness, here we go. Someone's gonna like, find some zanies. I mean, it's funny and cool that that's possible, but does it make it so that, you're not truly... I feel like no one wants to tell you, like, you have to play this way, because that kind of sucks too. Like, no one wants that now. Like, you have to solve a puzzle exactly.
Some people might.
Oh.
Not me. But.
Not you. I feel like nowadays people don't like that, no? They still want that?
That's my response to this question. Is that necessarily a bad thing? Where, my feeling is like a solution is a solution. Like you've solved the puzzle one way, or another.
I do think they're going to want you to do that. They're going to give you multiple ways to solve it. And that's why there's so many different options for Zelda to do different things and combine those powers in different ways. But I do think there is a danger of balance where it could be like, is this just like way too...
Yeah, I do think
too like OP,
I do think there will be some basic controls in place where, if there's some item that's good for doing X, like they will limit how often you can use it so that you're not just like flying around or doing something, that really breaks the game. I do think there will be some basic guidelines in place.
Good.
But I mean, they have, in that first video with Mr. Aonuma, he talks about like, we want to see what your imagination can do.
And that was very much the sentiment of Breath of the Wild too, is like they kind of, or more so Tears of the Kingdom, I guess. It's like they really wanted you to explore and solve this world in your own way. I don't think they're going to lose that.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, next question, the big one. Does this game have dungeons?
It freaking better.
Does it have shrines? What does it have?
I do not want shrines. I need them to give me like proper dungeons.
Why
have to do
Why have they not talked about this yet? It's again, it's August whatever now, and I went back as we were getting ready for this episode. I went back. I was like,
nothing.
Have they really not mentioned anything about Zeldas?
Peep.
And I'm kind of surprised that it has not been a louder form of conversation.
Maybe. These are so true to the original dungeon experience, and they're like, yes. the people that have been calling for dungeons truly will be satisfied
so why not talk
this
about
time.
it yet?
So it's going to be like a big surprise towards the, in that last beat, which is probably going to be in early September. Maybe that is what it is. Like they can big brain themselves.
We're gonna put out our fake Iwata asks, completely miscategorizing what these things are.
Maybe they learned from that to not do that again, because that was weird and unnecessary. But I kind of I'm hopeful that it's like, yes, this time we are very sure that these are.
And dungeons in what way?
Like in the way of a traditional 2D top-down Zelda game where you are going into different areas, you're solving this dungeon, you're getting an item. Maybe this item is the thing that you're upgrading.
Or some new echo ability,
some whatever.
Right.
And you're like getting more and more powerful. You're able to sort of retroverse back towards in areas that you haven't been able to go to before because you have this new ability now. Like we need this.
Right.
There's a boss at the end of each dungeon. There have significant, puzzle solving, like integrated puzzles throughout the dungeon that is tied to the location of where the dungeon is. Like I need to have all of that.
Yeah.
I really need to have all of that.
Yeah, I think yes. I think it has to. We were just talking about the expanded map of Link to the Past, but even then, like it's not that big of an overworld.
No.
So the game does need something more to give it, that kind of substance that people are going to expect.
Yeah.
And right on the map, like we know where those dungeons were in the original game.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen when I walk through that door in this game?
Right.
It doesn't have to be 1-to-1 for that dungeon, but yeah, I think even just using that setting implies like yes, there has to be something like a dungeon experience, and like
and it better not be the non-dungeons.
I was just going to say
Tears of the Kingdom. If that is what it is, that will ruin this game for me.
All right, to counter that
right now,
I was just about to say, me, I'm open to any kind of riff on what dungeons are.
Not interested in that.
I didn't really like the non-dungeons in Tears of the Kingdom.
I did not like.
I liked them more in Breath of the Wild. I don't.
Oh yeah.
I didn't hate them in that.
You know why? Because they didn't tell me it was a dungeon, and I was like, oh cool, this is like a different thing. I like this.
But I think this game structurally has to have dungeons.
I would like to have dungeons in two ways as well. I would like to have it in like what. I'm playing too much Link to the Past, but like the light world, how you go into some of the dungeons there and then you go into the dark world. Like I'm imagining that you go through a rift.
So that's our next question. What is on the other side of the rifts?
I think it's more dungeons. It better be more dungeons.
Wait, do you think it's a whole other like mirrored world?
Maybe.
Like a Link to the Past?
Like a dark world? I want it to be. I want the other side to be like significant.
Is it just the dark world?
It could be.
Is it just the original dark world?
Is Hilda back? Lowrule is back?
Oh no.
Oh, I would like that. Hilda's hot.
I'm not. Boy,
this is a great
A Link Between
idea.
Worlds is really now like they need to remake that and re-release that game.
Yeah,
my memory of that game is now
wonderful.
very thin.
But like that kind of had like a rifty quality to it too.
It did, yeah.
So like, could that be? I don't know. Now we're
throwing
the kitchen sink.
I mean, that could be an easy solution of like, oh, here's the rift, which is just the dungeon. It takes you into the dungeon.
Yeah, that's true. Because then that's how it works in A Link to the Past, where you have all these palaces.
I asked this question in our Discord, and some people were pointing out like screens from trailers, like, well, maybe this looks a little bit like a dungeon.
You're in a rift.
But it could also be like, there's a lot of times you just like go in a cave.
Exactly.
It's like two screens of like, oh, I got the treasure chest.
Exactly. It's like a heart piece or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I
we haven't seen it. I don't know if we've seen anything that's like definitively, yes, that is from. Can't mistake it. That's a dungeon.
Yeah.
Haven't seen anything like that.
I need the whole shebang. I need to go in to get the map.
Well, now
I need the compass.
Yeah.
I need the big chest with the boss key. I need to have those things.
Well, now you're convincing me. The more I think about it, that this would be the big late because like we're gonna build some suspense.
Yeah.
We're gonna have people
100%.
on the edge of their seat. We're gonna make them suffer a little bit.
Squirm.
Yeah, and then they're gonna have this big reveal. They're gonna love it. And
yeah, because they're so sure this time.
Yeah.
They're so sure that this is the traditional dungeon that everybody has wanted. They're gonna start like the next trailer with her like going into some
down a
dark
dungeon.
place, and then you see it revealed, and then she holds up like a boss key, and then everyone's gonna like lose their minds. I'm gonna lose my mind. But yeah, I know it sounds so stupid to have this like checklist of these traditional things I need to make me feel like I'm in a dungeon, but
Right.
I really just need this. I really just need this because I feel like this is gonna make or break this game, honestly. Like this is the one element. Everything else looks so cool and so great so far, but if they are missing this like very significant experience of what people imagine in a 2D Zelda game, like I think it will break this game.
Well, I do think that just this, I go back to this point of like the scale of the game. Because again, in original Link to the Past, you had the overworld, you had the dark world, and then all the dungeons, that you did throughout.
Yeah.
So it's like you're telling me now we just have a slightly expanded overworld and nothing else? Like that.
Yeah.
You need a lot more volume of content in there.
Yeah.
So,
and don't give me like 300 shrines.
I wouldn't hate that.
I would dislike that.
Just because you burned yourself out completionisting
No.
Tears of the Kingdom, don't project that onto me.
No, I'm not projecting anything onto
who has a
you.
healthy relationship with video games, unlike you.
I have a great relationship with video games, but I just feel like a shrine experience doesn't hold up well to this like 2D Zelda game.
You
like,
don't know that.
I would love.
How do you know that? You don't know that at all.
I just imagine it would not. Like I don't.
Why do you say it like that?
Because you're.
Good sir, it would not, surely. You gonna slap me with a white glove next, or what?
Let's play that game again, Camilla and Rose. I'll slap you later.
There are no white gloves on the set for a reason.
But it's like the micro experience of puzzling through a 3D Zelda game, like that was very focused on exploration. Like that worked. It worked really well. But with this one, I feel like a 2D Zelda game, you don't have, like, to your point you just made about it, the map being, sure, a little bit bigger, but it's not like this huge world that you have this seemingly unlimited sense of, I can go there, I can go here, I can go into the sky, I can go into the underworld, whatever. Like, you don't have that sense to keep driving you forward in this game.
Yeah.
So you do need that payoff of this type of dungeon experience to drive you forward. You need another driving force. So that's why it's like, or else you're just meaninglessly wandering around. Like that doesn't feel good to me. It doesn't feel satisfying. I really just think that you need like more payoff. So don't mess this up.
This is where Nintendo reveals this tomorrow before this episode comes out.
We re-record this
It's
episode.
so annoying.
We will re-record this episode. They're not going to do that tomorrow. Are you kidding me? No.
Next question. Will combat be fun? We kind of hinted at this before.
Yeah. So combat right now.
So how does this work in this game?
You basically like whatever.
You can create an echo
You can create
of
an
enemies.
echo.
You can bind enemies.
You can bind an enemy, and you use them. It's kind of like a ranger, where you like
Right.
push the sword into the enemy. You yourself.
Or you're kind of like the necromancer in Diablo. You got your little
skeletons.
your little weenie army doing your bidding. But have we ever seen her directly doing something that's like
she's not like
casting a
magic
spell
or something.
anything? No.
Right.
Bow and arrow?
She's a bow and arrow girl. We know that.
I mean, she is holding this kind of wand-like.
But the wand is to control is to make the echoes.
Right.
The only thing the wand is doing is making the echoes. It's not actually shooting out any that we've seen.
I mean, the worst thing is, if just a basic run-of-the-mill enemy action feels tedious. Then you start getting into like Paper Mario, Origami King,
gimmick
status, where it's like I just don't want to interact with anything because I don't want to do this. It takes too long.
Yeah.
Like I have better things to be doing right now than this.
Yeah, that.
It's like I don't want to like summon a moblin and hope it runs in the right. I hope the AI knows where to go.
Right, and then like how long is it going to take for you to summon the moblin? Like what if it's not an echo that you had that you can? Like I don't even know how it works. Like is it like it memorizes it and you have to scroll through a whole? Like I imagine you'll have like tons of echoes. And it's kind of like the thing that worries me is
now you're getting freaked out because you're thinking of menus from Tears of the Kingdom.
I'm totally thinking
where you're
of menus.
fusing all this stuff.
I'm seriously starting to panic right now. My stomach just like did a flip flop. Yes, I was exactly.
endless
How
scroll.
did you know that? I was gonna say that.
knew
You
it.
know me so
I know
well.
you very well.
Like that is totally where my mind went. It's like, is it gonna be annoying for me to scroll through the
then you're gonna summon
45
the wrong thing.
different types of eyeballs to like
you're
get the
summon
thing?
a Deku nut and it's gonna fall on the ground.
Shoot! I'm gonna be like drinking a smoothie, but the horse is gone.
You're gonna waste
and
your smoothie in the heat of the battle.
the heat of the battle. Yeah, my very like.
I mean,
carefully mixed
I'm expecting this
Yeah.
to be a less combat heavy game,
Sure.
which I think I'm fine with.
Yeah.
I do like, there's times
I like the
I do like
combat,
games
though.
where you play as the necromancer, or like there's that other game, Overlord, from back in the day, where that was like the whole idea of you have this army
Yeah.
of things.
The other thing that I don't want is some like Pikmin-esque experience where you're like
You look so disgusted. It's just
where you're like whistling and these like stupid little
Directing
things
them around.
run out to like
don't think it's
fight
gonna
a
be that.
moblin.
I don't think it's going to be that. I would feel better if it was like, okay, worst case scenario, she does have something to defend herself with. Some sort of a
Yeah.
bow and arrow, like a little dagger, like a little something.
A little dagger.
A little dagger in her boot, Just something.
A little shivvy shiv.
Where it's like, I can't be bothered to do this, or I've run out of the mana or whatever I need to do it.
Right.
Just to
there's
get out.
mana.
I don't know. Whatever you use to summon, can you infinitely summon these things? I don't know. We don't know that. Just something to get you out of a jam quickly.
Yeah.
And run away.
But that is the key thing about the combat. I'm with you. I'm like not bothered yet by the idea of like this being very like build the old bed to get on the ledge kind of thing. Like that's fine. Like
Yeah.
I love puzzles in Zelda games. It's great. I do like the action part of it as well, and I just hope that whatever she's doing to do the action, because it looks like she can do the action as well, it's not tedious.
Yeah.
Because that is going to get old fast. And like, in a traditional 2D Zelda game, when you leave a screen and come back, everything respawns. And if like that's the case, and every single time you're like having to do some complicated menu.
Or if you're on these fetch quests for these side quests.
Right,
and
you're
it's
running
like, oh my
around,
gosh.
and here we go.
Yeah.
Like there's like 40 people chasing me,
Right.
and I gotta summon the thing, and that's not gonna be fun.
Yeah.
That's not gonna be fun.
So you sound pretty worried about this.
Well, you've made me worried.
I mean, that's really the only question that I have is like,
You
is
worry
she
me.
truly helpless without some of these?
She can't be.
I think they'll have something.
At least like punch him in the face
Yeah.
or something.
If she has nothing, then I start to get a smidge worried.
She's got to have something.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got to have something.
Final question and concern: are we going to miss playing as Link? Is that the realization that we're all going to collectively have?
I truly had like a walk back moment recently where I was like 50% Link, and then it was like 30% Link. Oh no, 10% Link.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna miss Link.
Really?
I
don't
Link.
think I am.
I love
got
Link.
40 years of this guy. We know what he can do.
I love him. Guess why he's been around for so long? Because he's fun to play.
Okay.
I don't know. I just think he's great. Like, he is such a fun character to play. And, I love a Link when Link has the stuff.
What does that mean?
Like when he has all the little like gadgets. Like
I love a Link when Link has the stuff.
I love
All right.
a Link when Link is like Batman with the utility belt, where he's got like the
Well, this is
ice
going to
rod
be you
and
with the
flag.
scroll wheel of echoes. The endless scroll
Arrows.
wheel.
We got the boomerang. We got all the stuff.
Uh-huh.
We're like capable. Gonna get you.
Okay.
I like that Link.
All
a
right.
lot. And I'm gonna miss him.
I think I'm fine to have a game without Link. I think it's going to be great. I'm not worried
I'm
about
also
this.
very excited for a game of all Zelda too, because I love Zelda,
Okay.
obviously. But I think I will miss Link a little bit. That's why I hope that there is some fun way that Link is going to get sort of like integrated in the game.
That's why you keep going back to this.
I do keep going back to this because he's got to be somewhere.
Uh-huh.
You're gonna have to get him back out that rift
All right.
somehow.
All right.
And there's got to be a way where there's a little, give me a little bit of Link, Give me a little bit, just a little bit.
Sounds like I'm maybe a bit more confident about this game than you are.
I was fine before
You
this.
seem a little shaky about
Now
it.
I'm like completely distraught. So
Well, we asked our Patreon community what they thought based on what we knew, and this was one of the more unanimous responses that I remember getting in recent memory. 76% of people said the game looks great day one.
Nice.
Wow.
I'm day
That's
one.
a lot.
Absolutely.
That's a huge percentage.
100%.
14% said it looks cool, but there are so many great games coming. I'll play it later.
Oh.
6% said, I'm intrigued, but I want to see what reviews look like before I decide. The ever-wise selection. And then 4% said, the game does not interest me.
Obviously, we have a very Nintendo-heavy
Right.
community, which is great. We love them.
But still, again, big questions about dungeons, a lot of big questions remaining.
Have they thought about these questions? Because I didn't really think deeply until we did until we had this chat.
We're here to worry you.
Until we had this chat in which you frightened me.
All right. Hoots says, I'm actually really interested in this game, but frankly, this is the year to start saving my money with Switch 2 on the horizon. I'll probably pick this one up either when it goes on sale, which could be a while, or during a slow period next year.
Good point.
Do you think a lot of people are doing that? They're just like, I'm just cutting this off and I'm starting to save my pennies?
I mean, you might. People are probably going to start thinking that way for sure.
It ain't going to be cheap. All those magnets? Are you kidding me? Zach says, I don't think I've been this excited for a new Zelda game since Breath of the Wild. Everything about the art style and mechanics screams new to me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great.
And Kyle LaBeouf says, Superstar Kyle LaBeouf, no less. As someone who cannot get enough of the Zelda series, I welcome any new content to enjoy. But this game actually looks to be a continuation of Mr. Onuma's directive to break the conventions of Zelda. And I find that fascinating. I can't wait to get my hands on this game and see what directions they take this franchise in next.
Yeah, same. I really think so too. I think that this is absolutely in the plan, and they're thinking about it from that angle.
Yeah.
I think Mr. Onuma's always thinking about it from that angle.
That was in the first reveal video because I went back and watched it last
Yeah.
night. He did say, we are continuing to break the conventions.
Yes,
So
he will break them
he's
until...
he's not joking.
He's like Daenerys Targaryen. He's like chain breaker, whatever it's called.
Broken. Wow.
Broken.
All right, let's talk about games that get you less nervous. Games we're playing. Start with a little Cat Quest 3.
Yeah, we have
Which-
both been playing Cat Quest 3.
Yes.
One of your most anticipated
famously
games.
was my most anticipated game of the year up
Yeah.
to this point. And I have been kind of doing a little back and forth between this and A Link to the Past. And
same
I'm
here.
only maybe, I don't know, 5 or 6 hours
Yeah.
into this.
Still pretty
but this
early
game is
days.
extremely delightful.
It is. It totally expands on the world. Talking about expanding the world. Gosh, Cat Quest
Did you
3.
play Cat Quest 2?
I played Cat Quest 1.
I did too.
And I did not play
for
Cat
some,
Quest
For some
2.
reason, I skipped Cat Quest 2, so I don't know kind
Yeah.
of how they have been
Progressed
growing
it.
this game. I mean,
But from 1 to 3, huge.
Yeah.
I think is a huge
Cat Quest
jump.
1 was cool, but it was very simple.
Yes.
Whereas this is like a really big world. And this time, the whole thematic is pirates. So you're this cute cat who's on the search for treasure.
Right.
And the world is laid out in this really appealing way where
It's like a big map.
it's almost like you're on a globe.
Yes.
And you can kind of see off over the horizon and you can see all these little islands.
It's got a Wind Waker feel, guys.
It really does.
When you can see the island, you can go to it.
And you can even see like, oh, there's enemies running around there. I can see a
Right.
treasure chest like off in the distance.
It's cool because it looks like a map, but you're like real big.
Yeah.
And then you like sail up to it or you
Right.
get up to it and then like sort of you become the right size,
Right.
you know? So it's a really cool way to show like the breadth of the world.
Yeah. And yeah, the exploration is really seamless. So like
Yeah.
when you're on land, you're running around doing stuff, and then you kind of get to water, and you can either go in your little
Floaty?
your little floaty tube,
Yeah, so cute.
or if you're at like a dock, of which there's a lot,
You can
get
call
you
your
have a boat.
And you can even use your boat and sort of thin out some of the enemies on the land and then jump off
Yeah,
the
you
boat.
can do sea to land battle where you're
It's
shooting
super
cannonballs
cool.
at stuff on the land, which is really fun.
And yeah, I think seamless is a really good way to describe it because you can like vault off your little
Right,
boat like
right.
real easily
Uh-huh.
and then do your land stuff.
Right.
And there's, tons of things to explore like caves and dungeons and like mini bosses and things
Right.
like that. And you are doing some good character progression as well. Like you're collecting some
You're
different
constantly
items.
getting some new thing.
Yeah.
That upgrades
New
you.
weapons.
Like this is truly one of those games where the number goes up and you feel great.
You do. You're always leveling up.
Yeah.
You're always getting a new item. You're always equipping something new. You're always trying a new weapon.
Yeah, so you can get weapons, you can get
armor.
armor, and there's like different types of a lot of different
Right.
types of armor.
And there's also the upgrades.
There's kind of like items that will give you certain buffs or perks.
Right.
You can there's different magic spells that you can equip. You can upgrade your ship. And your ship also has all these different perks and different
Super
weapons
deep,
that you can choose. So, and again, like you're always getting stuff like that. So that's just always really appealing of like, well, what is the new thing and what can I do now?
And it does change up the way that you fight and play because you can fight like 3 different ways. You can do melee attacks, and usually that's like with like a sword. But I got these claws.
I got those. I also got a shield that is the weapon.
The shield
where you
is the
kind of
weapon.
like Captain America.
Shield
these
bash
guys.
them. Yeah, it's cool. There is sort of a gun.
Yeah, that's a whole thing. Yeah, that's a whole other equipable weapon as a gun.
Yeah, you can switch over to that.
Right.
And
so
that's different.
I got kind of, I think it's called a machine gun.
Yes.
Where it just it has a lot of bullets and it shoots really fast.
Those like run out and you have to wait for it to recharge.
Right.
And then there's 2 magic spells.
2 magic slots. Yeah.
Yeah. So
there's so much that you can do.
You can do a lot in the combat, and you can like mix it up and. You know, there's a dodge in the combat as well. There's items that you can get where your dodge becomes like weaponized.
Yeah.
And you can like dodge and it like it flings out things. It has kind of like that Diablo style of combat, which is really, really fun.
Yeah.
The game's actually pretty hard too. I'm playing on normal mode, and like sometimes you can get overwhelmed by the enemy. Some of the boss fights are significant.
I mean,
like,
so
hard.
that's kind of one of the things of the exploration being seamless is like the game's not going to tell you like, oh, you can't go over there.
Like a high level
but there
area.
are locations where like the enemies will be much higher than your level, and you'll just get smoked. And I think that's one of the criticisms that I have of it is. It's a bit hard to know like what is the main quest thing that I need to do now versus all of these other little like sub quests or side quests that I've picked up.
Right.
It can be very hard to differentiate like, oh, that is the one thing that will definitely have the enemies that are at my level that are kind of suited to where I am in the game. Because
it's a bit too open.
Yeah,
almost.
there were a couple of nights where I was like, I'm doing stuff, I'm going around, but I actually don't exactly know where to go, and the enemies that I'm encountering just cruising around are just a little bit higher level than me, so these are pretty hard fights.
I had to leave an area because I thought that I was supposed to go through that area to go to the next part of the main quest, but it was so hard that I couldn't get past them, and then I couldn't open that gate. So I'm also having a bit of a similar kind of reaction to like figuring out what I'm supposed to do next. But yeah, the exploration is fun though. So you kind of don't mind it too much. You're just kind of poking around, you know?
Right, there's not like a huge penalty for dying. Like there's a lot of checkpoints and they'll just take you back to those.
That's true. When you upgrade, when you go and like fill your health back up, you take a little cat nap.
Yeah.
The game is very cute.
It's very lighthearted. There's all sorts of cat puns everywhere. It's got a like very like, high adventure on the seas, swashbuckling kind of feel to it. So it's just like, it's kind of like a really good summer game.
It is.
To play. So, I think it's mostly met my expectations. And again, there's just something about the way this game is made that like really scratches a lot of gaming itches for me.
Right.
Which would, again, like when I first played that demo that came out a couple months ago, I was like, oh, this is my
so in.
This
Yeah,
is
I played
my jam.
that demo too. And I was so sad when it ended. I was like, oh no.
The game does have multiplayer.
I want to try that.
Which is local only.
I think it's local, yeah.
Which we have not yet had a chance to try, but we should.
We should. Maybe that'll help us get through the harder enemies.
Report back next week on that because like, yeah, it's just like that Ninja Turtles game that we were playing a few weeks ago.
Yeah, that one like made it a lot
sometimes
easier.
The way these games approach multiplayer is not what you would expect. So we should check that out.
Right. We should definitely. For science.
Yes. For science,
For science.
You have finished a Ranger.
I did it.
You're
I'm
here
not
with your
dumb.
final thoughts on a Ranger.
Yes. I was actually really close to the end. I didn't realize how close I was, but it would literally was beating that really hard puzzle that I was kind of stuck on for a little bit. But after I took a little break and I went back to it, I was able to solve it. So that was good. I felt pretty good about that. And there was a few more. The game is very like on another level, I feel like. Like there's some hidden messages or there's messages.
Really?
Maybe I'm like too obtuse to like understand all of the different layers to it because you go to this like, and this is a little spoilery, so if you haven't finished the game maybe you don't want to listen to this, but you kind of get to like the last part of it and you're really like trying to, it's the game's been leading you to believe like something really bad is going on in this like in this area, like that you have to break whatever hold, it's literally called the hold, that it has on you and the people that you're in this world with. And the way that they have it is like everybody is at this nightclub, and this is not like anything that has been part of this game so far. It's like you're at a nightclub and you're doing things like you need to get into the VIP room and like.
Wait, when does this happen?
This is like at the end of the game.
Oh.
So it's like, yeah, but does it mean something?
Like what?
I don't know. Maybe I'm just like too dumb to get it, but there is like this thing that, yeah, anyways. So that's like sort of the ending parts of the game.
Okay.
And then you do destroy the hold.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is like, throughout the game, the things that have affected you is called static. And I think what they're getting at is like there's distractions in your life that's like holding you back or holding you in place. Like the people that are like static, they're like can't move. You know, they're like literally stuck in one tile.
Oh.
And they have other parts of the game where they're like people that have gotten so used to this like technology that they won't even leave their house anymore.
Yeah.
And maybe it's like a social commentary.
Well, it sounds like you figured it out.
I don't know if I'm right though. Maybe someone can tell me if I'm right or wrong. But it's like
Art has multiple interpretations.
Maybe, yes, that too. But it's like I think there's like some social commentary about like there's things in this world that's like holding you in place, and you need to like break free.
And this is like the final area, or like after you quote finish the game.
After you finish the game, you like have a conversation with this other person that you meet
How
that has your ability.
That actually sounds really interesting.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's like there is a message, a very like cool, serious, like there's a point of view in this beautiful, beautifully crafted, beautiful art style game. There is like a message in here about like life. And I loved it. I thought it was awesome.
Neat.
I need someone to tell me if that's what their like thought was when they finished the game, because that I came away with feeling like, oh, okay, the lesson is like you need to like throw off these shackles that are like keeping you in one spot, you know, like let go of that. So anyways, great, beautiful, amazing game. I loved it. Everyone should go play it.
I'm really glad that you played this game because I simply could not. But yeah, it's been really interesting to hear you work through it.
So good. It was so good.
Brief, spoiler-free thoughts on where you are in A Link to the Past.
We are both, I think, nearly at the final dungeon.
We've only got two or three more to go.
Yeah. Yeah, things have happened in my game.
Yeah.
And you know what? We were talking about this earlier as we were playing through, you know, the game every night. And I do agree with you that I think these dungeons, there are many of them. There's a lot of dungeons in this game.
Yes.
But each dungeon is like a really well-crafted 30 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not there's like 9 dungeons or whatever it is, right? But they're not like 6-hour dungeons or like a dungeon where you just feel like you're slogging, lost, confused.
That is a criticism I had of the later 3D Zelda dungeons. It's like these things go on and on and on.
A little too long. It's like a Yoshi's Woolly World game. It's too long.
And it's one of those things where like it's best to do it in a sitting to have everything fresh in your mind. So like I just left off in the middle of the dungeon.
I was going to say, you were just going against this.
I was up a little bit late and I'm already worried about going back to it because I'm like, well, where was I going? I don't know. Now I might have to like start over. Versus like, I did this beginning to end in 30 minutes and it all made sense.
Right.
As I have not, you know, some of these dungeons I know by heart, but a lot of them I don't remember by heart. And I'm kind of, it feels like I'm going through it again for the first time. I'm not getting stuck very much.
I'm not getting stuck either.
In these because everything makes logical sense. Kind of the scope of the puzzles or the things that the game is asking you to solve is not that outrageous.
The thing about it is that there is a pattern to it.
Yeah.
And some people might think that, oh, that's so boring. Like, you're just going through the same pattern over and over again. But no, it's actually really satisfying. Because it's like you're learning, you know, and then you're like applying the knowledge. So it's a weird like psychological thing where you're like being rewarded for learning.
Right.
And it feels good. And it's like the dungeons have this formula that works. And they do it in such a tight way where it all makes sense. Like you go in, you kind of know like the first sort of treasure chest you're gonna encounter is probably the map. Then you have the map and you can like look at the map to see like where the openings are. So then you're logically gonna go through and explore that way. And then you're probably gonna get the compass, you know, and then you're like, okay, the boss is over there, but there's other rooms I haven't explored, so maybe I should check those out. And then it shows you like where that big chest is. It kind of shows you, you know, like you're logically sort of going through it knowing like, okay, the next thing I'll do is get the item in the big chest. And then I know before I get to the boss, I'm going to use that item to get there. And it's like, yeah, okay, that is like kind of a predictable loop. You're doing that for all the dungeons, right? Pretty much. But it feels good. It does not feel boring or repetitive. It feels really satisfying.
Yeah.
And you get to the boss. You know, the boss fights are challenging, but not so much of a not like the Mario and Luigi boss. You slogged it for like 3 hours.
Oh, no.
It's not like so challenging where you're like,
yeah.
oh my god, there's no way. And you usually go in pretty prepared. Link has all the stuff, so he's got an arsenal of things to use to defeat the boss. And it feels so balanced and so well crafted and well done. And you just like you really appreciate the restraint, you know, the way that like they've really built these with all this thoughtfulness in mind. You're like, yeah, this is like genius. No wonder this game is so good, you know? And yeah, I really, really like that. And I hope that they bring that into some of the newer, you know, 2D Zelda games.
I'm going to stop you there before you go too far. We're stopping. Those are the games
good.
we're playing. Let's start with some news.
A lot of news this week. A lot of news.
And I'll start with some, not breaking news, but broken news. This was something we forgot from last week that I think is still good to share. So Avowed, which was one of the next big Xbox games, been delayed.
Right.
I'll read the tweet from Xbox. So many games coming. As such, we're moving Avowed to February 18th, 2025 to give players' backlog some breathing room. Stay tuned for more from our games across Activision, Blizzard, Bethesda, and Xbox Game Studios at Gamescom, including our August 23rd live stream for a look at Avowed. So this was one of the kind of Q4-ish games that they had committed to. Now it's moving out a couple months into early next year. Mm-hmm. Your thoughts?
So what do they got coming for
this year?
Yeah. What is on the docket?
I think, so my feeling is I think this is great. I think this is a great move because they have Call of Duty.
Oh, yeah.
And
COD blocks.
Indiana Jones. So they actually do have two pretty substantial,
and they probably don't
then they have the biggest release probably of the year with Call of Duty.
Call of Duty, yeah.
So
and they don't want anything to distract people.
I think that's plenty, considering we're almost into September.
Right, they're two kind of big pillar flagship things.
Right, and if they, if they're looking ahead at their calendar and they identified, Q1, we have a bit of a gap.
That's good.
Well, that's a big, meaty game to put right there.
That's good.
It's probably going to make people happy. Like, it seems like the sentiment on Avowed is pretty good.
Yeah.
So I think,
and that way you don't like cannibalize it because people are like, oh, well, which one do I choose? And I want to play all three, but now I don't have time, and so one of them gets kind of like
things get real hairy once
behind.
you get into September. So I think this is really smart of them, and shows that hopefully they're being as thoughtful as they can be with these very precious first party releases.
Yeah,
that they really need to get rolling on. So I approve of this.
I'm Kit, and I approve of
Seems like you did not seem very interested in this game, though.
I wasn't super interested in it, but I haven't paid that much attention. I will start to pay more attention to this, I think.
All right.
But yeah, I think as long as they have a good cadence, I think that's what was really great about that press conference, is that they show that they have stuff coming.
Right.
As long as they keep that good cadence, I think it's fine.
Yes. Did you know they were still doing QuakeCon?
No, but grades.
They are. I'm not sure exactly what happens at QuakeCon, but there was a surprising amount of news that came out of QuakeCon around Doom.
About Doom.
So they did have a bit of an update on the new Doom game that's coming, but I think the biggest thing that got people talking was actually some news about old Doom games. Mm-hmm. So they've done a great job with the re-releases of Doom 1 and 2. That are on like every system, and I have all those on the Switch.
Yeah, me too.
And it's got so many great modern features, and they've tweaked stuff, and it's just like feels extremely definitive. So now they have released this new standalone game, which is Doom 1 plus 2. They call it the definitive combined release, which is actually free if you own either Doom 1 or Doom 2.
Cool.
So I went into the eShop and it told me the very surprising thing of 100% off. It's not the AAA clock nonsense of 99% off. It was 100% off, which means free.
Wow.
Because
I want to get it.
You should get it.
That's so cool.
I didn't play this enough to put it in the games you're playing, but I did get it and I did check it out, and it's absolutely awesome.
100% free?
Yeah. I think
Can't argue with that.
I think it was like $10 otherwise.
Wow.
The big new thing that I would say, like if you hadn't already jumped on one of these, is it does have a new episode, which is called Legacy of Rust, which is made in collaboration by some folks from id, Machine Games, who's done all of the Wolfenstein games, and then I'm less familiar with Night Dive Studio. But yeah, that is one of the things that you notice, like when you go into one of these games. It's like, do you want to just play kind of the vanilla original game?
Or do you want these
But they have all these other
versions?
I'm kind of a more casual Doom fan. I didn't know over the years they have added all of these either official or semi-official like content packs or missions.
Yeah. It's kind of cool.
I mean, that's not the only one. There was like 3 or 4 others, and like some of them are relatively recent, but it's in the style of classic Doom, which I think is so cool. I think that's so cool that like these
good idea.
modern developers at these studios can make classic Doom. Like what if they? I mean, I'm not saying this is a good or bad idea, but like imagine like, oh, we made a whole other world for Super Mario World, and we just released it. Like this would probably
could be something, right?
break people's brains.
Yeah. I'm interested in this online deathmatch.
I did check that out too. So yeah, you can do 16-player online deathmatch with crossplay. I don't remember if the previous versions had crossplay.
Right.
But I did boot this up and I checked it out, and I got absolutely steamrolled.
Yeah. Smoked.
But
of course.
I mean, it worked really well, and it did kind of have that like old classic PC feel to it, even though I'm playing on a Switch.
Yeah.
It has mod support, which I need to figure out exactly how that works and if it's the same on all the different platforms. But I did see people like pointing out like, oh, there's a Mario mod and there's a Simpsons mod and there's all these other mods. Like
what?
This is gonna get taken down real fast. I don't know. There's also a whole new soundtrack by Andrew Hulshult, who is not somebody that I super know, but I mean it sounded like a really cool like heavy metal new soundtrack.
I love it.
It's amazing. I mean, this is kind of like the gold standard of how to keep an old game relevant for 30 years.
Yes.
And for a game that is kind of timeless like this is really the right way to do it. So
yeah, you're like really respecting the original game,
right.
But you're getting really smart and creative about these new things to modernize it. Like this online play feature is a great idea. This is such a great way to like continue to support the community that you have with this free upgrade. And that's awesome.
They're totally respecting like what the original game was, and that's there, but they are also like, well, here's all this other stuff that our official developers and like the top people in our community have come up with, which is so cool. Like again, I'm a very casual Doom fan, but I bought this like immediately. Well, it was free, but I would have bought this immediately. Like,
I would have bought this for $10.
This is so
worth
good.
it.
You should get this.
I'm going to get this because I do have both of those already.
Right.
So yay!
And then there was more news. Limited Run is doing a definitive version of Doom for SNES, which is a game that I pretty vividly remember renting.
Yes, I definitely rented this game.
And is a really cool kind of it's its own version of Doom, but it's not just the base SNES game. They've added some more stuff, like circle strafing. That's important.
Oh, you need to have that.
In a first-person shooter, you can do that now.
I had to learn how to do that when I played Doom for the first time.
Right.
Circle strafe.
Like I'm just really impressed with, again, like the ongoing commitment to these games and really helping them to live on.
Yeah, look at Limited Run's beautiful.
Yeah, it comes in this kind of like
too.
Is that like metallic?
It's like a metallic cartridge
in a great box with all obviously they've got all the bells and whistles that's coming out next year.
Cool.
So again, I have no clue what happens at a QuakeCon, but
sounds like a good
seems
time.
like they're still doing LAN parties. They're still doing LAN parties at QuakeCon.
Oh, that's my college
I mean,
days.
it'd probably be fun to go to.
It'd be so fun.
But
Should
it's
I
like-
go
it's like,
get
wow.
into a LAN party.
I'm glad you can
To
still
like
do that.
carry my computer around, like with a little. It had a little handle, like a GameCube. It had a little like.
What computer was this?
I had like a PC in college that I
It had a
used to-
handle?
Had a little handle on the case.
Oh,
It's like a little suitcase, basically.
all right.
Yeah.
Cool.
LAN
I'm
parties.
glad that stuff like that can still happen in 2024. People
Yes.
still care.
We
Yes.
still care about LAN parties.
Okay.
This is very.
Next headline: the Borderlands movie is terrible.
Oh no.
Did you go see this weekend?
I did not.
Did you rush out to see this?
I
No.
did not, and I cannot believe Kate Blanchett was in this movie.
It's at a very healthy 7% on Rotten Tomatoes, the tomato meter. On Metacritic, 27%. A little surprised that the user score on Metacritic is also 2.7. Normally, that's
Yeah.
quite a bit higher.
I was gonna say on
On
the
Rotten Tomatoes, it's 52.
right, and this is we were looking at other video game movies. Obviously, like the Mario movie did not get a good critic score, but
Right.
the audience score was like 98%.
Right.
But this is like bad both ways.
Yeah.
It seems.
It only made $8.8 million in its opening weekend, which was number 4. And really,
a really bottom of the barrel number 4.
yeah, like significantly lower
Yeah.
than the other movies. Like you said, this game or this movie has a really impressive cast: Kate Blanchett, Kevin Hart, Jamie Lee Curtis, Ariana Greenblatt, Jack Black. Jeez,
Oh, that's right. He's
those
claptrap.
are big names.
Big names.
It seems like one of the big criticisms of this is, Borderlands is obviously a very M-rated franchise. This is a PG-13 movie, so a lot of people that saw it said
So they vanillaed
this
it.
feels really like watered down.
They watered it down because they're trying to get like a kid, like like a
I don't
younger
know.
audience, but
Right.
can't do it with an M-rated
And then,
game.
I think this is directed by Eli Roth. We were talking about this at Comic-Con because you got accosted by a scary man in a Borderlands, a viral marketer
I got viral marketing.
who was wearing the Borderlands
You
mask.
had to protect me by taking the
by
magazine.
taking the they
so
were
you'd
they
leave
were
me
handing
alone.
out entertainment weeklies that had Borderlands on the cover.
Yeah.
So I saved you by accepting
So that we didn't have to get interactive.
And then we walked like a few more blocks and I was like, all right, I think I can throw this away. And like the moment I threw it in the trash, we saw those guys
Another
again.
person
we
was
saw
like,
them again.
"No."
So I had to take another Entertainment Weekly, which I immediately threw away also. Save a tree, people. Stop handing me this
And
junk
don't
out.
interact with me. I don't like it.
That's
scary.
not good viral marketing or good street marketing. When you're like scaring people or you're like people
You're
are
not giving
people are
any-
like, ugh.
Yeah, you're not giving anybody anything fun.
It's not good.
You're
People
not giving
don't.
me like a candy.
Yeah, people don't like that.
Like I didn't like it.
That would happen at E3 where there'd be like zombies roaming around
like
and you would
that.
get really scared.
I get scared of
and you're like,
those,
this isn't working.
I would like walk to the other side. I really don't like it when.
But then they
scary
would see you.
things-
That's how they see you
They
when
always
they notice you.
notice me because I look scared,
She's
and
a
they
mark.
want to scared me.
I can scare that woman.
I don't want to be scared. But okay, the other thing about this is like they said that they spent $30 million on marketing for this movie.
On printing Entertainment Weeklies.
And
Yes.
hiring scary viral marketers
Yes.
at Comic-Con. But like beyond being freaked out at Comic-Con, I did not see anything marketing this game.
I think they did a panel on it. They had a booth, but again, like it just feels like it's several years too late.
Yes.
Like I remember, like when we both played Borderlands 2.
We loved
Loved that
Borderlands
game.
2.
That game was awesome.
But that was like so long ago.
That was at least like 10 years ago.
Oh no.
It's been a while. Like that.
Yeah.
Like Borderlands 3. We didn't play Borderlands 3,
Yeah.
but that also seemed like it was pretty big. It's just like there's not really much happening with it now. They're in
They
kind of their
didn't take-
quiet period between games.
I was gonna say they didn't take enough time to like build up the game world too for like a general audience.
Yeah.
Because if you're not like playing Borderlands all the time or know anything about Borderlands, it's really hard for you to like understand this world and understand like what makes this like fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, they did not do enough of that in the lead up at all.
Right.
I don't think. And so yeah.
Yes, the movie had a combined budget of production plus marketing of $145 million.
Oh my gosh.
So that's a lot. Good luck to them. Randy Pitchford, who's the head of Gearbox, which is the studio that created Borderlands, had an interesting tweet. He's a funny guy, I'll leave it at that. So what you're saying is, you like what my friends and I do with our Borderlands video games, even more than you like what some of the biggest and best cast and crew of filmmakers on the planet have done. I'm super flattered. We're working extra hard for you, F-O-U-R, you, on what's next. He was really tweeting through it this weekend.
Okay.
Okay.
Weird.
Yeah.
But okay. Boy.
So, yeah.
Did they not expect this when they did nothing to publicize this movie?
I mean, it seemed like video game movies were on the right, track, but as more and more people see this as a big potential opportunity,
there's more and more pitfalls.
These are going to continue to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to see this movie. I'm not excited about this at all.
Okay.
Are you going to see it?
I mean, I haven't even seen Deadpool, so I think it's going to be a little bit lower on the list for me. Last news story. Wow, really blown through it.
Oh, wow.
Tango Gameworks has been resurrected.
Oh.
This was a feel-good story on Sunday night. So Krafton, which is the South Korean publisher of one PUBG. Remember PUBG?
Oh, yeah.
They have...
What's going on with PUBG these days? Not a clue? All right.
I don't know. They have taken over Tango Gameworks, welcoming all employees back.
Oh my gosh,
and
a savior.
They now own the Hi-Fi Rush IP, which they say that they will continue to expand on.
Great.
Wow.
I kind of figured that someone would save them.
Now,
yes.
My question is, why could this not have been Microsoft's solution all along versus shutting it down?
Like selling it off?
Yes. It's like we're parting ways, and we are handing it off to somebody else. Business will continue, all this, work will continue versus like pull the plug and hope somebody wants to, make a deal.
Maybe they were
Why
done
not
making
do that?
deals. Microsoft is done making
They're done making deals.
They got tired.
They're never done making a deal.
From making
I mean, this
deals.
would be an extremely low stakes deal.
It sure would be
But
compared to their other
I
deals.
imagine there's a lot of people over at Microsoft in the business of making deals, the business of business.
It would have been
Why
so
not?
much less like bad PR.
Yes, that's the whole point. Like,
Right?
remember how bad it was when this happened?
Yes.
It was real bad. Like, that was the darkest moment of a
Yes.
lot of dark moments that Xbox
That
has
really
had.
was, because this is a game that was critically acclaimed and
I'm
you
sure
just
so.
go and shut down the studio.
As is always the case, I'm sure somebody suggested this and got like, no, we can't do that. Somebody's having an I told you so moment today.
Oh, or whatever day it was.
Maybe it's Phil Spencer.
Yeah, maybe, but it does feel like it's very whiplashy. It didn't need to be, right? If they could have done this planning and had this happen before they had the whole thing. I'm sure now it's like one of those things where it's like they shut it down and they had to independently go make these deals without Microsoft, obviously.
Right. Or
And-
somebody
and-
knock on the door and say, can I buy this? I'm interested in this.
Yeah.
This thing that you just threw in the trash. I'd like to buy this from you. It's like you. Instead of just throwing all your games in the garbage, there are a lot of people who might be willing to pay you money for this. This is the great example. Why are you pointing at me?
Yelled at me. The first thing you did when you walked into the studio
Yes.
this morning was yelled at me because I threw something away. And you were like, you can't throw that away.
Listen. So when I went to Korea, I picked up the Nintendo magazine.
I read it and I threw it away.
Which I had brought in here. It was featured in my video going to Korea. I saw it in the trash as I walked through the door this morning. First of all, it's not yours. Not yours.
You gave it to me.
Second of all, it's something I'd like to keep. I think this is a cool thing. You see how excited people get, like, oh my gosh, the new Luigi render. He's living his life on vacation, the summer vacation. We love this Nintendo magazine. You don't care. Just threw it in the trash. That's not yours. Now I get to throw something of yours in the trash.
Go ahead.
You're not
I have
going to know.
no attachment.
Yeah, when you show up tomorrow, something's going to be in the garbage.
What is it?
You sound a little worried now. You sound a little worried now. What can I get?
These are all your things.
What can I find
Actually,
over
no,
here?
these are my things. Don't throw that stuff away.
What can I find over here?
You gave me that.
Anything's on the table.
Anyways.
It's not garbage.
Neither is Hi-Fi
They're
Rush.
beautiful people making beautiful video games.
It's true.
Gosh.
I agree with that 100%.
Nice to end on a feel-good story. After
Really
last week
It
was
really, wow,
bad
last
news
week
after
was
bad news.
Yeah,
Yes.
bad news.
All right, that's the news. We're about to get into some questions from our community, but did you notice this cool shirt I'm wearing today?
Oh boy.
This is our
Today!
new merch line. This is just one example of everything that we've got.
Yes.
Check us out. Link will be in the description.
It will.
This merch is only available through the end of September, right?
Yes, and then it goes into the Kit and Krysta vault forever.
Great designs by our wonderful community member, Alzonda. Extremely talented artist. So
Yes.
if you haven't yet, I know many people have, check it out.
Check it out.
First question is from Mecha Dragon 101. Hey, Kit and Krista, hope you guys have been all right. For the next Switch, will you get your games all digital, all physical, or a mix of both? Me, at the start of the Switch life, I was a diehard physical person, but I grew to prefer and appreciate the digital releases of games to the point where I have mostly been getting my games digital these days. Do you think Nintendo also keep an appreciation for physical games and won't end up like what Xbox and Sony are and have physical releases be a second thought to them? Thank you again for your 2 great insights.
I have fully switched over to digital, I think, at this point. Unless there's a special edition of something that I really want.
What was the last special edition you got?
I haven't really.
You haven't, okay.
Yeah, even like the Tears of the Kingdom one, I didn't really want
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But if there were to be
Okay.
some kind of special edition that I did want that I just couldn't pass up,
Yeah.
then that would be the only time I probably buy like a physical game.
Yeah.
Metroid might have a cool special steel case. If there's a steel case.
Oh, a steel case. All right.
I love a Metroid steel case.
Yeah.
I'm going to get that because I have,
All right.
I have some of the other ones. So yeah, I have definitely pretty much fully switched over to digital. It's just easy to have all my games there and I can like take my Switch wherever.
All right.
Yeah, you are kind of a mix.
I am. I really am. I have also been getting a lot of games digital just out of convenience because, you know, in what we do, like we really do need a game like right away.
Yeah.
So getting that first night advantage is good, but also it's like going out into the streets of like, are you gonna have it out yet? Or is it gonna be sold out? Like the pre-order situation's weird.
Right.
Even like ordering like a physical game on Amazon. Well, first of all, Nintendo does not work with Amazon anymore.
No, they're mad at
So
them.
it's like, what can I do to make sure I can definitely get this? I'm not setting foot in a GameStop. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I will not-
Target?
even that's like I don't
Hit or miss,
I don't
right?
trust
Yeah.
it. So like the state of the retail is very iffy for
Yeah.
us at least these days. So I don't like risking it that way. But if I had my druthers, I would be glad to get most of it physical. I do like that, and that is my plan for kind of once this Switch 2 transition happens. Is like that's when I'm gonna go back and get physical versions.
And then you'll have that collection.
Of a lot of, I don't need everything, but the ones that I really do want physical that I don't yet have, that's when I'm gonna get.
Yeah, we do have a fair amount of physical just because we worked through part of, almost all of Switch's life cycle. And we had, in the beginning, we were not getting like codes, and so we do have a lot of
physical Switch games, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
As for, Nintendo's approach, like, yeah, they do
Yeah.
realize the importance of, being part of a physical store and that retail experience. They really do respect and want that to feel good for people. So yeah, I see them continuing to support that in a different way than the others do. I mean, quite frankly, like it is a place where marketing can happen.
Yeah,
Even if people are
have
not
to
going
go to the
buy.
store.
So it's like, it just makes sense. Like, yeah, a lot of people go to these stores. It's a place where they can see this stuff. They can try it. They can actually like
physically hold it in their hands.
Get their hands on it.
Yeah.
So it just makes a lot of sense to keep doing that. And yeah, I think they pointed out like, yeah, a lot of people are still buying physical. It's like it's less than it was in the past, but
it's not like
you can't
completely
just,
gone.
There's no reason to just pull the plug.
Right.
Yeah.
They do have just the sense of like physical is important from their toy history as well. They have this sense of like, I need a thing. I need a item I can hold in my hand.
Just like Link, he needs to have all these things.
He needs to have the things.
That's what you like about him.
I like that about him.
Yeah.
I do.
Next question is from Baby Chris. Hola, Kit and Krista. I was wondering, in the Nintendo Wii days, why did Nintendo opt to have Wii points cards to use as currency for the digital storefront versus just a dollar amount? Was this a trend Xbox 360 brought over with their Microsoft points? Also, why have blocks of memory instead of using gigabyte, megabytes, kilobytes? Any insight would be fun. Thanks. Rank which is the biggest to smallest, gigabyte, kilobyte, megabyte.
Gigabyte is the biggest.
And then?
I think it's in order. I think it's in order. I think it's in order.
Wanted to.
Come on. I was like, I think it's in order.
This was definitely a thing in that generation of
Yeah.
like obfuscating like the facts of what it was.
Well, I think they want to make it feel accessible. And when you're
Right.
like not talking to like the tinkery PC people that knew what a gigabyte was,
Yeah.
you gotta put it into like layman's terms, So blocks was
Yeah.
a way to do that. And then, of course, like with the money part of it, there were like weird regulations when it comes to gift cards and stuff like that you have to follow.
Like what?
I think like you can't like with kids and stuff, you can't like just let them have it. Have like regular money.
What are you talking about?
So they have like points.
Well, what about today?
Well, today it's like whatever. They have like parental controls and stuff like
All
that
right.
now.
But yeah, it seems like there was this idea of people are not ready to fully jump into this whole digital world.
Yeah.
And, I think in the case of Microsoft, they still wanted to keep some sort of separation between, like, this is not a PC, this is not Windows, this is an Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing things a little bit differently. In the case of Wii, I think it helped, the blocks helped to cover up, like, how dinky the memory actually was.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, how much memory do I have on this thing? That little? It's just blocks. How big's
20 blocks.
How big's a block? Don't worry about it. It's a block.
You can't do that. You can't come up with your own measurement.
Right, but I remember with the Microsoft points, it was on I think it was like $10 was 800 points. It wasn't even like
that's like
$10
because
I think in the on the Wii it was like 1,000 points is $10. So you could at least in your mind, I mean, you could do this like it's like learning a conversion rate going to a new country.
Yeah, it's like the USD versus the yen.
When I'm buying this Xbox game, I'm like, wait, how many points is how many dollars?
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, they did that to like mess with you. And because they know that like you're not going to like make that calculation.
I'm glad we left this behind. This was confusing and unnecessary.
Yeah, the Wii points. Yeah. Yes.
Ninja11 asks, in a previous question you mentioned how making entire social media accounts dedicated to a specific brand or franchise was a pain since you really couldn't do much with it once the hype dies down. What's it like managing the account during the lead up and launch window when it is at the height of its relevancy? Also, now that you're on the other side as a consumer, don't you like these game-specific accounts? They're kind of like Discord channels where you can follow games you're interested in and want updates on and not follow the games you aren't interested in to reduce notifications. The eternal pursuit of reducing notifications.
You're on the other side of that pursuit.
I want to give me as many notifications as
Your
possible.
Your stuff is always dinging off the hook.
I'm a maniac like that.
It's horrible. It's so distracting.
But now I know. I know a lot of things that you don't because of that.
I don't care. I don't want to
Well, I guess that's what I'm here for then.
You can tell me.
To take the bullet for
You're
that.
You can filter my notifications.
I did see, before you go, I did see that the sad Animal Crossing account had a tweet this weekend. It was like, the Obone Festival is nearly here. Get your Obone themed items.
The little fans are coming.
The Nook shop. It's like, oh, it really fell off.
I really was gonna use that as an example.
It happened this weekend.
Yeah, where
the Obone.
Yeah, the height of that, launching that channel, making the decision to have the majority of the tweets or whatever the posts go out in Isabel's voice. Was really a commitment that you.
Who's responsible for that? Is that you?
It wasn't my. I was made to execute on it, but I.
So you were told to do it.
I was told to do it because I was Isabel for a long time. I was Isabel for like 2.5 years.
Wow.
Where I would we get the translated tweets from Japan, then we would write it again, and then we would post them in Isabel's voice, and that is like a level of dedication that you don't realize you're really signing yourself up for, and then you get into it and you're like, gosh, this is like so much work. And now you have sad Obone tweets every 4 weeks or whatever it is.
Or like that Instagram account.
Your piffy little fishing tourney.
Where one day in April 2020, they're like, oh, we started this global Animal Crossing Instagram account.
We're like, you didn't tell us.
It's going to showcase all the villagers. It's like, well, there's a lot more you could be doing with that, but okay.
And then
Thanks for not telling us.
What are you going to do when you run out of villagers? They're like, we don't know. And then they didn't even go through all the villagers.
Don't worry about it.
At the end, they were went through 10 villagers, and they're like, we're over this.
We're good.
And then they've never posted again on that account.
Not really. So
blink, blink.
Yeah, you just need to be prepared to sustain it
and
have all
hard.
the people involved on board. In our case, it was a lot of people because it was translation, localization, just making sure the stuff was moving through the cycles of who needed to be involved through all these different regions.
Translation, that's tough.
It's hard.
Yeah. And then getting, what's even harder is getting an asset for it. like making like a screenshot, getting a
Impossible.
It like takes like forever
Really
to do
impossible.
one thing. Like, you think it's so easy to make
Get in
like
line.
a little video?
Just get in line.
I mean, it's gonna take months.
Well,
So
why
there's no
didn't you
way.
just make it yourself then?
You're not
Krysta?
allowed to have it.
Why didn't you just make it
They
yourself?
won't give you the build, and then you don't have the build.
You would get slapped down so hard if you
would
made
get-
it yourself.
Oh my god, you would have done something bad
Yeah,
that you never
that would
did.
have been real bad.
Yeah, you would have been fired.
That would have been so
It would have
bad.
been bad.
Hey, you guys seem busy. I made this instead. What do you think?
Bam!
Bam!
Right in the kisser. And you know what? I don't like having these as a consumer. I don't follow them because guess what?
They're still posting it on the main account too.
They're tweeting it on the
Yeah,
main account, so
right.
you're gonna just get it there anyway.
Right, because
I mean,
not
just-
enough people follow those. Know to follow those.
Exactly.
Versus the 12 million people who follow the main account.
And so now you're getting 2 notifications.
Yeah,
So in your
yeah.
effort to
You're
lower
getting it twice.
notifications, you're getting it twice.
Just embrace the notifications.
And you're probably not going to get an update for like every 4 weeks because the game has fallen out of relevancy.
Yes.
Sorry, Ninja 11.
Question from Pseudo Priest. Hope you're having a great day. Nintendo has been, for a long time, the odd one out regarding achievements as part of their platform, as opposed to Xbox, PlayStation, Steam, Epic Games, surprisingly even Apple via Game Center. What is your opinion regarding achievements being a part of video game experience? Do they add value or an incentive to play a game or a sense of accomplishment? Was there a movement inside Nintendo, either directly from Japan or from NOA/NOE, to consider them for Switch games? What are the reasons Nintendo still insists on not providing achievements for Switch games?
I miss 360 achievements
That was fun.
That was the heyday.
That was a really fun thing.
of achievements, and
Right.
that was for sure the universal ranking of awesomeness that
Yes.
you have with your friends. Everybody understood that ranking. Like if you had those achievements, you're
Yeah,
cool.
that was super real. Of, like
Such
people,
like a
people playing
easy-
like junk games, playing these Burger King games
To, like, game the
hammer-
achievements?
playing that awful King Kong game to play, get 1,000 achievement points real easy. I was in a group that was absolutely doing
All
this.
my friends were like this.
What a
too.
waste of time, though.
But you know what? That's like it's like the Michelin star. Everyone
Don't compare this
knows
to
what
a-
that means.
Don't compare this to a Michelin.
Everybody knows what it means, even if you didn't even like eating in that restaurant. Oh, a Michelin star? Oh wow. Oh, you got achievements? Oh wow, that's great.
But I mean, I know there are people who like trophies, but to me, it's not the same.
No.
And also, that heyday was like 20 years ago.
I know. See, I think
I think the time has
passed.
absolutely passed on
Yeah,
this.
I think it's time. And now it's like very Nintendo is very like we definitely brought up achievements at times, especially for like very big like online games, like a Splatoon, for example, or like a Mario Kart. It's like, oh, it'd be kind of cool. What about one day having these achievements? But it's like, no, because they're so focused on this idea, like we don't want to make anyone feel less than or more of.
Well, it's also that classic thing of like somebody else has done it, so we need to come up with a different way to do it if
true.
we want to do it at all.
Yeah.
I remember, I think you were in this meeting too. This was like a pre-E3 meeting. Somebody pretty high ranking got absolutely eviscerated in a meeting by another person who was very high ranking because
Wait,
they
what
were
is this?
they were suggesting doing some things in the style of Microsoft. Like, why don't we do like Xbox does this thing really well? Why don't we do that? And this was like a really like packed full meeting.
Oh, I'm trying to
And this
remember
person was like a senior director. This person got eviscerated in that meeting of like, we do things our way. This
might
is
have
the
blocked this
Nintendo
out.
way. We cannot simply follow
I do remember this
the
now.
path of what Xbox. Like it was
Yes.
just like it went on and on. I was like,
It was like a 20-minute lecture.
I'm gonna just disassociate right now.
I think I was already getting a headache for being in that really bright room.
What's that thing from Shogun? The 8-walled garden or the
eight-wall-
8-wall fence?
the 8-wall
I'm,
fence.
I'm gonna go step eight layers behind this fence right now.
I'm gonna bury myself
Yeah.
beyond the 8-fold fence, whatever.
Man.
Ouch!
So there you go.
Yeah, they definitely don't want to do like copy their competitors, but they also have that sense of like, no, everyone's equal. We're equal
Right.
opportunist gamers.
Right. I think they also see this as like, this is not a pure way of experiencing a game.
Exactly.
Like you rushing through it or like only focusing on this thing. Like that's not how you should play a game. And I kind of agree with that.
Yeah.
Because we did some dumb stuff trying to get those achievements.
That's true. And then they also like want you to play that game in a very specific way.
Yeah.
So they don't want you to use a different system
Right.
to like do it your way. Because they've built this game specifically in the way that they think that you'll enjoy it
Right.
the most, and they're gonna want you to do that.
Right.
So
So I think it's fine where it is now, where like, so, the Greg Millers of the world loves trophies and that's fine for him, but
Yeah.
it's not this like all-encompassing thing. Like it
yeah.
is.
I feel like that mentality, for me at least, has kind of passed on at this point.
Yeah,
Now I'm like, I don't really care anymore. But I did care so much. Back in the
Too
day,
much.
I cared a lot.
We cared too much.
A lot.
The Keggers asks, hi Kit and Krista, do you think Nintendo did a good job at translating the success of the Mario movie into video game sales? I thought Super Mario Wonder would be selling gangbusters, but that doesn't seem to be the case, although I have limited knowledge of how a game like that should sell at all. It was definitely successful, don't get me wrong, but with the overwhelming popularity of the movie and the massive install base of the Switch, I was expecting all Mario games, but Wonder specifically to get a big boost. What are your thoughts?
I think all of this stuff just takes more time than you think. Like this kind of like brand building sort of marketing tactic, where you are going to be bringing new people into the Nintendo universe through the movie and through the theme park. But the step of them coming into the universe and purchasing and getting into games can be several steps still.
Well, the metric may not be clear to us. I think it was clear to them, though, because they multiple times in their financials, like, we got a big boost from this Mario movie.
Yeah.
And in this last round, they're like, hey, we didn't have a Mario movie this time, so our business is down
Right.
a little bit. So, yeah, it's not always like, see the movie, buy this one thing. Like, people could go buy a lot of
That's the thing. Like
different things.
The path to movie to buying the game
Right.
can be very, like, windy.
Totally.
You know?
And in the case of Mario Wonder, like, it's not Mario the movie, the game. So that direct link was not there.
Right.
It came out, what was it, like 6 months
After
the movie came
so
out.
The hype
so again,
was sort of
some time had passed.
right.
I think that game sold really well. Maybe they thought there was a little bit more space for that, but I imagine it'll keep selling. But yeah, as they get savvier,
Probably going to sell really well this holiday.
as they get savvier with movies and more movies come out, I do wonder if we see more kind of direct ties, because now they know, like, there's something to this.
I mean, you see a very sort of direct
More than just putting it on a Lunchable, though.
Oh God, I did
a Go-Gurt and a Lunchable.
I did see in the store some sort of weird Mario Wonder Lunchable.
You were buying Lunchables for the week?
No, I don't like Lunchables. But you kind of compare this to that Fallout TV show, and how they did like
and
that
they had nothing new.
That was a 1-to-1.
Right.
Like they saw like a 30%
Totally.
increase.
Good comparison.
So I do think that there is room to improve on, translating entertainment-y things to video games.
And it seems like they were caught unawares too. They were like, oh, I wish we had something new. I mean, we kind of like, farted out this update for Fallout 4.
Yeah. But like, why would you not? Anyways, whatever. I don't know.
Amiibos?
Oh, amiibos.
Something?
That's
what
the
can
solution
you make? Yes.
to everything.
BGM Live has our last question. Hi, Kit and Krista. Dragon Quest 11 released in Japan for both 3DS and PS4 in July 2017. It seems clear to me that part of the reason Dragon Quest 12 has been so slow to release is that it will be a Switch 2 cross-gen launch window release. Do you think it will also release on the PS5 during its Japan release? Do you think the Japan release timing and console availability will be different than the rest of the world? Okay.
Interesting.
So they have said they kind of needed to start over on this game, which is another reason why it's going slowly.
Yeah.
But yeah, they always make really interesting decisions about what platforms they put their games on. So what based on what we know now, what's your best guess?
So, interesting. I do think that they might be open to a non-simultaneous release.
On platforms?
Yeah, on platforms.
Okay.
So they could potentially release earlier.
It did. I mean, the Switch version did come out after those initial versions.
Exactly.
July 2017, the Switch was out.
Right. Yeah. So I wonder what they will do with Switch 2, because nothing's been announced for that yet. So it might just be late on Switch 2,
Well, do you think this game is going to come out before the Switch 2 comes out?
At this point, probably not.
It seems like this game is still quite a ways out.
Yeah.
Based on...
Yeah, that's true. I guess at this point...
if they admitted to having to start over...
Right. At this point, it might
time.
just be like late and they can probably swing it. But I think if it wasn't late, they probably wouldn't be precious about that.
Square Enix has said they are more open to multi-platform strategies.
That's true, yeah.
They better be. So I definitely could see it being on Switch 2 and PS5 and Xbox and everything, basically.
It's probably going to be on everything.
Switch 1, though, I think maybe the ship technologically may have sailed too far on that for them to make it work. I put myself in the rare camp of, like, people say like the Switch version of Dragon Quest 11 is really amazing. I maybe saw a lot more issues with it in terms of the visuals. And again, that's not really something I usually get fixated on, but I was seeing stuff, I was like,
doesn't look as
maybe
good.
I kind of wish I'd played this on something else.
Right.
So I just don't see how the next game, 7 to 8 years later, is going to work on that same hardware.
See, my only thing with Dragon Quest games is
maybe that was originally the plan.
Oh.
But no, I don't think they can do that again.
I really need to be able to play this game on a handheld.
Yeah.
Because it's too long to play it in like on a PS5.
It's true. Yeah.
So even if it looks worse, I can't do it.
Just
I gotta wait for a Switch 2 release.
All right.
Yeah, hopefully it comes to Switch 2 though. At the same time. I don't know if they can port it at the same time. I don't know. Yeah. They get a little weird.
Don't get cute with it, Square Enix.
Keep it simple.
Don't get cute.
Yeah.
Make the money back. Don't go out of business.
Seriously.
Those are our questions. Thanks everybody who sent one in.
Yeah. Let's shout out some wonderful superstars, shall we?
Yeah.
I mean Patreon members, not just superstars. Many of them.
I'm nodding.
Nod.
Yes.
I would like to say that you were spotted by Final Boss. Da 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 da.
Aaron
Aaron
Hash.
Hash.
There he is.
You went to a monster truck.
I went back to my monster truck rallies over the weekend.
Aaron
it was
Hash
a great time.
saw you on the TV.
I don't think I had told Aaron Hash that I was going to that one in particular, but he was watching the stream and spotted
there
me.
You were.
Spotted me in the crowd, so that's cool. Shout out to Aaron Hash for having the eagle eye.
Can you believe that? What are the chances?
Yeah, it's amazing.
So interesting. That's why he's the boss. Sharp eyes.
That's right. He's on top of things.
On top of
managing his employees like us.
Watching you very closely.
What are you doing?
What are you
doing? Did I give you clearance to go to this?
Exactly. Okay, superstars. Mauro Mayhem.
Eigenverse.
Kiss My Flapjack.
Mike Chen.
Roy Eschke.
Switching it up. _
VGM Life.
Link, the hero of wins.
Angela Bycroft and her pig Molly.
Thomas O'Rourke.
Kyle LaBeouf.
Roberto Nieves.
Frederick Ulf Conradson.
Andrew Uhas.
Chili.
Bruce Dash.
Simon.
Crashuri.
Master Discord.
Ash.
Ajay Kundlas.
And 40 Gig.
Wow. Okay, and the One Up Club. Aaron Burgundy.
Ale Alejandro.
Astro Death.
Awesome 46.
Bad Moon Arising.
Bates.
Benji B.
Big N Gamer with a Y.
Bookem Dano.
Bookishly Fab.
Brandon Cavapill.
Brent Dennison.
Brooke Obscura.
Brovak Novak.
Cameron.
Shadir.
Chelly Squirrel.
Chris Cube.
Crispy Saurus.
Christopher Lay.
Christopher Thompson.
Captain Alex.
Christabel.
C Roper 17.
Dachshund.
Doinko.
Elite Peach.
Spars 50.
Fart Priest 69.
Fairbound.
Fernie and Jess Forever.
Fox Deploy.
Garth the Wolf.
Gartooth.
Guilty Phoenix 42.
Happy Sloth.
In Space Khalil.
Iris Mirren.
Jay Rando.
Jack Hoving.
Jeffrey Hernandez.
Joe Encarnacion.
Jonathan Rowe.
Jordan Collette.
Jordan Hemmerly.
Joshua Clements.
Juji Fruit.
Justin Lemminger.
Kawa 2796.
Keith Kwan.
Kevin Delane.
Kilo Kibo.
Christorati Elf.
Christopia Party with me.
Kyle Gamer Berry Rookie.
Kyle Kretzer.
Lazy Cat for Coffee.
Lex.
Link 9898.
Lit.
Luigi 53.
Lynn.
Macho Potato.
Mad Dog 5981.
Magnificent Easy G plus Kelly Marie.
Marky Man 64.
Mario Man 392.
Mecha Dragon 101.
Megan.
Michael Craven.
Mikey.
Mr. Ryan 07.
Motomania.
Mr. Andy Palm.
Mr. Beans and Dip.
MSM Poke Gamer.
My Tran.
Nasir.
Nathan Burkhart.
Naif E.
Ninja 11.
Bangy.
Paul. Paul.
Paul Gale Network.
Prime Factor.
Prince Charles.
Raver.
Rain Tech.
Record Rumble.
Ryuji Utsuhu Okou.
Ryeth 1.
Rob.
Romsky 113.
Rox.
Ryanetta.
Sakura Sky.
Sharif Jackson.
Shinryu.
Schmills.
Slowbro.
Schnazzle.
Spacey Poo.
Spicy Munchkin.
Steel Citron.
Tales of Link.
Tay 120 N64.
Teal Fox 64.
The Keggers.
The Shark Among Men.
Thomas Alvarez.
Three Rivers.
Timmy V.
Torcheeks.
Totally Joe Edge.
Travis Torline.
Trajowie.
Tugs Puppy Bear.
Tusku.
Tyler Geis.
Video Game Stupid.
Vitch Victor.
Viridian.
Virtual Bot.
Weed Kingdom.
WG Grizzy.
YU.
Wicked Davy.
Will Johnson.
Zelgoroth.
Zapatty.
It's right. Wow. All right.
I'm going to specifically mention Aaron Burgundy, who's been at the top of this list since day one. Been at our last couple PAX panels.
I know.
Hope to see you there.
I love Aaron Bergen and his beautiful
Krista
family.
needs this.
I need you there. Aaron,
Krista needs people in the seats.
Do not forsake me. Bring your children.
Bring the whole family.
Bring your cousin.
Bring them all down.
Bring your sister. Bring your uncle. Bring your grandma. Bring everyone. Anyways, yes. Wow, what an episode. I'm panicking inside about Zelda.
So many things to panic about. It's great.
Let's panic together.
All right.
All right. Don't forget to subscribe to us on patreon.com/Kit and Krysta. You can panic together in the Discord. It's great and wonderful. You get tons of other stuff behind the scenes, bonus Q&As. Lots of good stuff.
Yes. If
Yes.
you're watching on video, to help us out, if you could subscribe to this channel, give this video a thumbs up and leave us a comment. And if you're listening on audio, you can also subscribe to our channel, give us a 5-star review, and leave a written review if you please as well.
And we're on the socials. We're on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, and Threads. All right, time to stop. Bye.
Bye.